Under the lights at Carter-Finley. Welcome to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Miller Lite. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. And tonight, it's number 3 Florida State. The Seminoles taking on North Carolina State for the 33rd time in this series. The Wolfpack Nation poised and ready for a potential upset tonight. Everybody has been anticipating this game for a couple of weeks now. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones alongside Brock Heward. Jessica Mendoza down in the field joining us in just a few moments. Hey, Florida State partner comes into this game. They are absolutely loaded. They lead the ACC in almost every major statistical category. Number 6 in the country in offense, 7 in defense. They're looking at a national championship.
Yeah, they're incredibly impressive. In fact, I was on the airplane flying down here with an NFL executive that called them NFL Team 34. Alabama was 33. There's a lot of scouts here. And what you love about them, they're veteran guys. They are built to do it now. This is a senior and junior dominated team, and one that Jimbo Fisher hopes that can be consistent, unlike they've been in the past.
He loves the way that they've been preparing all year. The catalyst offensively, E.J. Manuel, completing 73% of his passes this year.
And you love a fifth-year senior. When you want to be consistent week in and week out, when you want to take that step, when you want to play with the big boys in the SEC and get to that title game, it really helps to have a guy under center that's taking control. As their coaching staff said this week, he's willing to say the unpopular thing, which isn't always the easiest to do, but when you're a fifth-year senior that's been through the ups and downs that he has, playing at the level he is, he's commanding a ton of respect.
Showing great leadership along the way. And you ask the Seminole players, to a man, they say, the national championship? Yeah, why not us? But keep in mind, the last time they played here at Carter-Finley Stadium, they were upset.
ESPN College Football Primetime, brought to you by Denny's. America's Diner is always open.
Well, the last time North Carolina State hosted Florida State a couple of years ago, the Wolfpack winning it 28-24 and ready for an upset tonight and trying to put last week behind them. As we go downstairs to more and what happened in the wake of that to Jessica.
Well, thank you, Mark. Yes, NC State did call a players-only meeting after that heartbreaking loss to Miami. I spoke with Mike Lennon. He said the focus was really about the buy-in, focusing on those mental errors. He even told the team, hey, if you're not buying in, I want you to leave this room. Nobody left the room, but they did watch 3 hours of film. I caught up with head coach Tom O'Brien about it. He said he's happy that they called the meeting, but at the end of the day, he's not happy with where the leadership is. In fact, he wants to see this team call each other out more, not just have meetings, but also, particularly Mike Lennon tonight, to have accountability on the field.
Brock, what do you make of players-only meetings? I mean, sometimes they're good things. Sometimes it can go the other way.
It sure can. They're often built out of adversity. You know that. You don't have players-only meetings if you're 5-0. You have players-only meetings when you have 14 penalties and 6 turnovers, as the Wolfpack did down at Miami. But I love what Jessica had to say about Mike Lennon. Here is his opportunity. A national stage, a national audience, going head-to-head with, as you said, a friend of his in E.J. Manuel. And NFL scouts are watching because both of these guys will get an opportunity, Manuel and Glennon, on Sundays.
Florida State winning the toss, deferring to the second half. North Carolina State will receive the opening kick.
This is a game a year ago where Mike Glennon was hit, he was harassed, he was hammered into the worst day of his career against Florida State. Statistically speaking, they were shut out down in Tallahassee. They want to get that memory out of their mouths, and imperative that they start fast tonight. And their 2 losses, this first 15 minutes of action was costly.
And we are underway. Tobias Palmer back at his own 5. And met shy of the 20-yard line at the 17. A nice stop that time by Smith, Terrence Smith of the Seminoles. And this is where Mike Glennon, the starting quarterback, will take over, completing 62% of his passes on the season. 4 of those 6 interceptions, folks, came in one game, the opener against Tennessee. Since that time, he has really gotten into a nice, smooth offensive groove. In fact, last week, albeit in that loss against the Hurricanes in South Florida, he threw for a career-high 440 yards. First down and 10 for North Carolina State. Going to run it with Creasy. And Creasy out to the 27-yard line, brought down by Christian Jones. The weak side linebacker picked up 7. It'll be second down and 3.
2 things you want to watch for early: the amount of shifts and motions out of North Carolina State. They cannot be stagnant against this Florida State defense and just line up and go mano a mano. Secondly, their ability to run on early downs. They have to avoid third and extra long situations.
Second and 3, single back formation again, and it's Creasy again. Not as much room this time. Going to leave them with about a third down and 2. Vince Williams making the stop as we take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
We've already mentioned the signal caller. Quentin Payton is his go-to guy outside. Big receiver at 6'3", expects shots down the field. David Amerson on the other side, 13 interceptions a year ago. Has got to play more fundamentally sound. And Earl Wolf, so disappointing a week ago on the back end. Those 2 safeties let them down. He's got to keep all the speed of Florida State in front of him tonight.
Third down and 2. They run it again. Creasy will have the first down with a yard to spare. Brock, how does the fact that North Carolina State have 3 offensive linemen missing, starters, impact what they're going to do to them?
Exactly what you're seeing early. You're going to be a little conservative. Tom O'Brien very clear that the best way to beat Florida State tonight is keep their offense on the sideline. So even though they're an up-tempo team, expect them to utilize a lot of that clock and limit the possessions of the Seminoles.
First down and 10, just shy of the 30. For the 4th consecutive time, and Creasy with some good yardage. About 7 on the play. Second down and 3. Tony Creasy, a 6-foot sophomore. They talk about having to use all the pieces of the call sheet tonight.
That's exactly
and
right.
He's a vital part of it.
Yes, it is. And you got to be physical at the point of attack. Easier for these young guys and these backups on that offensive line to go straight ahead than it is to try to contain 2 of the best pass rushers. And Warner there, 95. Carradine on the other side, 91. Run right at him.
Second and 3. They're going to run it again. Different guy and a different result. That was the true freshman, Shadrick Thornton, stopped up by Smith. Elvin Smith, maybe a gain of 1 on the play.
There's so many systems around college football, and Dana Bible, the coordinator here at NC State, no different. Where it is a run-to-pass call at the line of scrimmage based on what a defense gives you, so no surprise to see 5 runs here early. Florida State puts less guys around the line of scrimmage than just about anybody not named Alabama in college football. NC State has to be patient and has to be effective to run against those positive numbers.
3rd and 2. They converted last time on 3rd down. Glennon's first pass attempt, and he barely gets it off, almost sacked. And under duress, it's incomplete near midfield. No flag on the play. They'll have to punt on 4th down and 2. And there we saw a little bit of heat applied by Anthony McLeod and Bjorn Werner.
And that is where Florida State, Mark, is so dangerous. It's not just the 2 ends that are number 1 and 2 in the ACC at getting after the passer. They're very talented in the middle, rotating 4 veteran senior D tackles.
Obama to punt. Zone 27, a high booming spiral. All the way back to the 13. That's Rashad Green, who struggled to catch it. Florida State has had some yips in the special teams area and the punting and kickoff receiving as well. A 49-yard punt as E.J. Manuel gets set to come out and take the reins of this offense. Gaudy numbers for him this year. 73% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception. And really going back to last year, he has embraced the concept of being the man at quarterback.
Commander-in-chief.
First down and 10. Chris Thompson and Lonnie Pryor, the backs. Manuel completes his first pass. And Green still on his feet, battling out to the 33. And a nice run after the catch for the first down. A pickup of 15.
If you watch E.J. Manuel over the years, he's a fifth-year senior. As I said in the open, he's been through the ups and downs. You have never seen him play with the level of anticipation he's doing this season. He's not turning the ball over. He's throwing it very accurately, but most importantly, watch tonight, both in his primary reads and his checkdowns, how quickly he goes through his progressions.
First and 10. And with another completion. Another nice run after the catch, and still continuing Smith. Rodney Smith pushed out of bounds finally at midfield. And another first down for the Seminoles on a 16-yard gain.
Young quarterbacks have to see guys open before they'll pull the trigger. Veteran guys that trust the system, trust the reads, and most importantly, trust the personnel. They'll throw that hitch route. They'll throw that curl route before those receivers are out of break, leading to bigger plays.
Thompson alone back on first and 10. They come back into the boundary, and Green this time brought down right around the line of scrimmage, maybe losing a yard. Well read by Wolf on the play, the senior leader who was beaten and victimized last week a couple of times.
And these two safeties are very, very active. They're both redshirt seniors, have been around Raleigh-Durham a long, long time. Earl Wolf, 305 career tackles coming into this evening. So they get involved in that run game. They got to be careful, though, as they were victimized a week ago, letting guys get behind them at times.
Talk about this is what has hurt North Carolina State the most, giving up early big plays, especially on defense. First run of the game, and Thompson brought down right near midfield by Thomas Teal. It'll be third down and long for the Seminoles.
And this is an area where the Wolfpack are pretty good. Second in the ACC on third down defense, only behind Florida State. Very active. They like to blitz. They like to disguise. And Florida State's also playing without their starting right tackle tonight. Some movement on their offensive line. Expect NC State to heat up the pocket.
Green split wide to the bottom of your screen. He's their leading receiver. They got a tall target in Rodney Smith, number 84. Manuel, there's a flag down, lots of flags on the field. Manuel going to step out of bounds at about the 47-yard line, 7 yards short of the first down. And it looks like we have a holding penalty against Florida State, number 75, Cameron Irving. So Manuel able to move around a little bit in the pocket.
Holding number 75 of the offense. That penalty is declined. Fourth down.
And that's Cameron Irving here. And NC State will run a lot of line games. If they don't blitz with their linebackers, well, you can expect a stunt inside. And Irving, the converted defensive tackle his first 2 years, he's a step slow. And thankfully for him, as you said, Manuel pretty adept at getting out of problems.
Down in 7 coming up. Beatty had a punt blocked by South Florida last week. A beat coming here. Ed Smith also a fair catch at about the 20-yard line, punt to 19. North Carolina State will have its second possession of the ball game. First down and 10 from there. Timeout on the field. We come back to Carter-Finley Stadium right after this.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Last night here at the Raleigh, North Carolina, and NC State. That's a live model, folks. You saw the head move a little bit earlier. They inducted some luminous members into the North Carolina State Hall of Fame, including Roman Gabriel, former quarterback here and former NFL great. Back on the field, zeros on the scoreboard. This is North Carolina State's second possession of the game. Winnie Creasy in a tailback. Now motioning out of the backfield. Glennon, incomplete, batted away nicely by number 11, Vince Williams. That's a linebacker running pretty well.
Well, that's pretty impressive. As you know, you were in the meetings with me. Williams is more of their inside the box linebacker. So Dana Bible trying to get his matchup, but the fifth-year senior showing you, hey, I'm not a one-trick pony. I can cover a little bit too. That's an excellent play.
Fifth-year senior with a nice play. Second down and 10 coming up. Greasy on the run. And brought down at about the 22-yard line by Christian Jones. Got about 2 yards as we take a look at the Impact Players brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
E.J. Manuel is the captain. Watch Chris Thompson, maybe the most explosive guy not named D'Anthony Thomas in college football. And these two ends, Werner and Carradine, 1 and 2 in the ACC at getting after the passer. That is why you're seeing so much run early. Can't let them just pin their ears back, a lot like the guys at South Carolina tonight. Can't let them get in passing situations or they'll make you pay.
There's what those bookend defensive ends. Number 1 and number 2 in the conference in sacks. They set up a screen, and that didn't work either. Tackled immediately at the 16-yard line by number 22, Talvin Smith.
So much speed within that front seven. So they bring in Smith. They take out Williams, who we already saw running down the middle of the field with the wide receiver. When you can play 7, 8, 9, 10 guys and rotate them through your front seven and not miss a beat, wow, it is advantageous as the game evolves.
Rashad Green, who bobbled the last punt, standing at his own 45. Calls for the fair catch and fields it cleanly at the 46-yard line, a 37-yard punt. Nothing on the return. E.J. Manuel, maybe the victim of a little miscommunication from the sidelines last time. He'll have the ball when we come back.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Miller Lite. Because when friends come together, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And in part by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building.
Welcome back, everyone, to Raleigh, North Carolina. You know what? The Wolfpack might need a couple superhero-looking guys like that to pull this off tonight.
Gotta love night games, don't you?
Get some different looks. Guy forgot his shirt, but he got the tie right. Tie on the field, zeros on the scoreboard. A good starting field position for Florida State here on their second possession. Thompson on the handoff, got a nice block ahead of him. Chris Thompson detonating and into North Carolina State territory at the 30-yard line. Chris Thompson authoring a wonderful and compelling comeback story from a year ago, 22 yards.
You had to figure you weren't going to go many series without giving your most explosive player some touches. An excellent block by his fullback, that's Lonnie Pryor. And all you got to do is give this little guy a crease. He's about 15 pounds heavier than D'Anthony Thomas, but you give him some room and he can go.
First down and 10 from the 32. Thompson again couldn't get away from the tackler in the backfield back at the 38. Thomas Teal there to blow that play up and a loss of 6.
When you're playing elite speed, it goes without saying. The more times you cannot let them get started, the better for you. You give him room to run, and they do such a nice job, this Florida State, in their option and their spread game. Get them in the mouth before they get started.
Good news for North Carolina State. They haven't been off sides yet. That was the bane of their existence last week against Miami.
Just weather the first quarter. Just get through the first 15 minutes.
On 2nd and 16. E.J. Manuel fires, squeezes it in there, complete at the 31-yard line to Jared Higgins. Brought down immediately by Lucas. Again, he's 7 on the play, so looking at 3rd down coming up.
He was the line stunt on the previous 3rd down that got pressure. Line stunts, twists, linebacker blitzes. I fully expect Mike Archer, the defensive coordinator for NC State, to be aggressive in these 3rd down situations.
He was telling us they need a lot more pass rush out of those front 4 guys. 3rd and 9. Manuel wide open and incomplete through the hands of Melvin Benjamin. It was a little bit behind him, but it looked like it was a catchable pass.
The exact same stunt up front. This time Florida State picks it up, gives EJ plenty of opportunity, and at 73%, he doesn't miss many of those throws. You'd like to see Benjamin slow it down a little bit. EJ could feel that safety behind him. He's trying to protect him, but the redshirt freshman didn't feel what EJ was feeling. It goes through his hands.
That was his first incompletion. He was 4 for 4. This is Dustin Hopkins attempting this one from 49 yards. Out of the snap of Dallenbach. The placement good. And just inside the upright from 49 yards away. Hopkins now 7 of 10 on the season as the Seminoles and Jimbo Fisher take the early lead. But in some sense, you could say it's a little bit of a win for the Wolfpack defensively. Back with more right after this. Trying to get in rhythm right now, I guess you could say. Well, someone's trying to get in rhythm. Folks, celebrating its 8th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.8 million in scholarship money. So, one of your friends over there, Brian, he was working his moneymaker right there.
As I said, they had all day to get ready for the Seminoles to come to town tonight.
Tobias Palmer back for this kick. Florida State has won 3 out of the last 4 against North Carolina State, including that shutout last year in Tallahassee, 31-0. Something that wasn't lost on the Wolfpack players. Palmer fields it all the way up by the 20. And they stopped at the 23-yard line. Let's go. Let's stay right here. A flag down on the play.
After the play, dead ball, personal foul, number 18 of the kicker team. 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
A little bit of a change, of course. Usually those penalties have gone against North Carolina State in the last game or two, especially the last one. That was against Dustin Hopkins, the kicker.
That may be the first in his career as well. And take a look at what I was talking about earlier, to weather the storm in the first quarter. And their 2 losses, Tennessee and Miami, it was explosive plays, it was penalties, it was ridiculous mistakes, as Tom O'Brien told us yesterday. And they can't afford those, because outside of the first quarter, well, they've been very good in the other 3.
On 1st and 10, little bootleg action. Glennon fires complete up to the 43-yard line. That's his tight end, Mario Carter. Gain about 3 on the play. 2nd down and 7.
Got to be so patient tonight for Glennon. Over 400 yards passing against Miami. A very different defense tonight. This is one that is fast. They are sound. They are so aggressive. And they're demanding on the position at quarterback, because you just can't force the issue. You got to run when the numbers are there. You got to hit your check downs. And you got to be patient.
And hands it off to Creasy. Looking for a crease on that right side and close to the first down, right at midfield, right on that marker. Got about 7 on the play as we go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. It's a primetime poll. South Carolina has stunned Georgia, jumping out to a 21-0 lead on ESPN. 4 minutes to play in the first half. And over on ABC, we're scoreless. Nebraska and Ohio State, 9.5 minutes in the first quarter.
All right, Wendy, back here. Glennon getting his team that first down.
And what you would love to see off of all that good run action, the early down run success, nice play action shots off of it.
Run it to Thornton this time, the true freshman, and he is decked at the 49-yard line by Bjorn Werner. One of the more compelling and interesting stories on the field tonight from Germany initially.
Yeah, this is a man that knows how to get down the line of scrimmage, not just a pass rusher. That is form tackle. That is leverage. That's getting your helmet in his chest pads and driving him through the dirt.
And pretty impressive, according to Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, up high on those NFL draft boards. Lennon given time, completes it. And now it's ruled incomplete, actually, at the 46-yard line. Broken up nicely. It was intended for Rashard Smith. So 3rd down and long coming up for Glennon, who we've seen him be a little bit more mobile than he has in the past.
Well, that's a liberal term. I don't know about that.
For him, compared to previously.
Yes, what he's done is extended some plays. He's never going to be creative. He's a 6'6" guy. He's a pocket passer. But you're right, he's extended, and when the plays are broken down, he's shown more ability to make some plays down the field.
long. Glennon incomplete. Carter didn't get his head around in time, and it sailed over his head. Fourth down coming up for the Wolfpack.
And you're seeing him have to pick himself up off of the ground, and that will be the challenge tonight. If you're Mike Glennon, you're coming into this game tonight knowing I got to prepare myself to take a beating. When you're playing the #3 team in America, and arguably with Alabama, one of the best front sevens, I've got to know as a quarterback that I'm going to get hit, and I can't lose faith and lose my fundamentals.
We saw Carradine there. He was voted ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week last week. He was one that put the heat on Glennon. This one's going to bounce inside the 5 and then careening into the end zone. A 49-yard punt, nothing on the return. It'll come back out to the 20-yard line for E.J. Manuel, who, along with Glennon, attended the same quarterback camp over the summer. The two of them have been friends going back to their high school days in Virginia. We'll tell you a little bit more about that QB story on the other side. E.J. Manuel on the right, Mike Glennon on the left. A couple of quarterbacks attended the same QB camp out in California over the summer. The friendship actually goes back to their high school days. There's a look at them back in 2008 at the Elite 11 quarterback camp, Brock, and there was a little bit of texting going back and forth between the two of them about this game in anticipation of it. Got some of the Seminoles riled up. Glennon doing his best to diffuse some of the perceived quote-unquote trash talk, which there wasn't. There's Thompson on the sweep. Got about 9 as we go downstairs to Jessica for more on the QBs.
Well, Mark, the guys, not only they were roommates and they learned a lot from each other, they also learned from being counselors. They said there's guys like Andrew Luck, Blaine Gabbert, Landry Jones that we were there with, but some guys make it, some guys don't. Their message to the guys they were counseling is they do it the right way, working hard, all of the small things. That was their message, rooming together, and that's what they gave to the guys.
Both of them, Jessica, handling the details right now.
Never said one.
Second down and 2. Hands it off to Thompson. Ooh, got a nice block from his fullback Pryor. Sprung him loose for the first down out to the 37-yard line. But there's a flag down in the field and a Wolfpack player down at the 27 as well.
Holding, number 70 of the offense. 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Replay, second down.
Against Florida State, and the Wolfpack player still down.
One of my favorite players in college football, just watching some of this game tape, is going to be Lonnie Pryor, number 24, the fullback, because he's a do-everything guy for you. He's been a halfback, a third down back. Now he's the lead fullback. And watch the awareness. That comes from being a tailback. That comes from, hey, I used to carry this ball. I know what the flow is like. I know how I can peel back and just unload in a very clean way on a linebacker. This guy will do whatever the team asks of him to do.
Anytime another guy's cleats are up in the air, it's a good block. That's what happened on that play. As Pryor lowered the boom on Sterling Lucas. That's Forrest West limping off the field with the aid of the training staff for North Carolina State.
And that's unfortunate. Transfer from Colorado, who's very, very active. They like to move around, and defensive coordinator Mike Archer does a nice job with his group, especially on that defensive line of giving Florida State different targets to hit. And West, one of their more active defensive ends, defensive tackles. And what this group is doing here in this first quarter, and you've seen it now on third downs, you saw it on that last play on the holding call earlier, their group at the line of scrimmage is asserting themselves in a very different way than they did a year ago in Tallahassee. They're getting some movement. These holding calls are indicative of getting that half step on Florida State and having to reach and grab.
Mike Archer, the D coordinator, said we're going to have a lot more discipline, and so far they've shown it, albeit early in the game. Second and 12. They set up the screen. There's a couple of blockers out in front of Thompson, and he springs loose, still on his feet. Thompson all the way out to the 43-yard line and a first down. Wendy Nix, what's up with Geno Smith?
Well, Mark Jones, in our Dr. Pepper 10 conference update, we can tell you that Geno Smith has thrown for 2 touchdowns, but here, not what he was looking for, sacked by Alex Okafor. Jackson Jeffcoat recovers the fumble. Texas has tied it up 21-all.
21 all in that game, and Geno Smith, maybe the front runner right now for the Heisman, partner.
I think you can eliminate maybe right now. Exactly.
Okay.
The quarter pole.
First down and 10. Manuel. The play action, and he's sacked. Back at the 36-yard line by Sterling Lucas. So Lucas atoning for getting decked a moment ago on that block by Pryor. And that's the 13th sack of the season for the Wolfpack defense.
Something we've not seen a ton of for E.J. Manuel's done a really good job of getting rid of the ball, but you watch the linebacker stunt all the way around the offensive tackle. And E.J. did and has done such a nice job of getting rid of the ball this season. They were sacked 41 times a year ago, 8th worst in college football. Only 6 sacks coming into tonight. Mike Archer likes that early down success, put him behind the chains a bit.
James Wilder Jr. in the backfield beside Manuel. Little receiver screen, but well read and incomplete. Johnson breaking up that pass intended for Rodney Smith. It's 3rd and 17 coming up. Hey, this Wolfpack defense balling out right now.
It's a good little matchup. North Carolina State, the 2 biggest corners in college football. Dante Johnson, 6'3", $190. Emerson on the other side, 6'3" as well. And this crowd can feel it. Some of that physical will at the line of scrimmage, the secondary physical, the blitz is getting home. Not the start that Jimbo wanted on the road.
Rodney Smith split wide to the top of your screen. Thompson, the lone back beside Manuel.
You've got to keep everything in front of you here defensively.
Manuel pulls the trigger complete. Got Green all the way down to the 43-yard line, and they move the chains for the first down. What a conversion, and great poise by E.J. Manuel to see.
That's a great word, and you're going to see him just staring it down. He sees the zone coverage. You see how he throws into that open window? He wasn't doing that a year ago or 2 years ago to that extent, and not in pressure situations. But he knows Green, his leading wideout from a season ago, will get to that spot. He puts it, he delivers, and they move the chains.
The 43. Little option, Manuel. Thompson on the pitch. And he gets the edge all the way down to the 30, pardon me, about the 30-yard line, and another first down. Let's go downstairs to Jessica for an injury update. Jess? Well, folks, obviously a little technical difficulty with Jessica's microphone. We'll get that fixed and get that update to you as soon as we can. In the meantime and in between time, at the 31-yard line, after that 12-yard gain by Thompson. 1st and 10 for the Seminoles. E.J. Manuel, the first key recruit by Jimbo Fisher as an offensive coordinator under Bobby Bowden, and a nice tackle in the open field by Emerson. Let's go down to Jessica again. Try it.
Hey, Mark, sorry about that. Defensive end Forrest West is out with an ankle injury, just crushed off the field. His return is doubtful.
Well, the number is already a little bit thin.
His crutches are hurting him, too. That's a man that's not used crutches, fortunately in his life, and unfortunate for Tom O'Brien tonight. And unfortunate, too, that 3rd and 17. This is a group that had a players-only meeting this week to handle adverse situations. You gave up a 3rd and 17. This is where you got to rise up and find a way, as he did last drive, to hold the Seminoles to a field goal.
A whistle on the field, and Florida State.
Timeout.
On the timeout.
Florida State, their first timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
We'll stay right here and talking about Manuel a little bit and how he was the first key recruit for Jimbo Fisher. Actually came in under Bowden, but was recruited by Fisher when he was the offensive coordinator. And really bearing fruit offensively for Florida State. Hey, folks, get your NFL Sunday started off right. 1st at 10 on ESPN Sunday NFL Countdown. Chris Berman in the game providing all the latest news and updates. Then at 11 on ESPN News, get the information you need to get your lineup set and give you an edge in your league's fantasy football now. Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM. Fantasy Football Now presented by Papa John's.
One thing you saw a week ago was a very animated sidelines. This veteran group doesn't mind holding each other accountable. In many ways, the antithesis what Tom O'Brien is dealing with at NC State. Jimbo Fisher will get on his veteran guys, and that's Rodney Smith, the senior. Been around a long time. He knows how to push buttons and get the reaction he wants.
That's like the Jones household. When we're yelling, we're communicating, man. That's not yelling, that's communicating. 2nd and 9. This offense has been on the right page all year. Number 6 in the country in scoring. Thompson doing the bulk of it, and here he is, upended near the first down at about the 21-yard line. Got about 9, close to 10. With 15 seconds to go here in the first period.
Coming into this evening, 109 runs and 109 passes. That is unheard of as far as balance. E.J. Manuel's a story, lots of speed. But Florida State is doing it, and they're patient, and they're doing it at the line of scrimmage better than they've done it in a long time.
Well, the final seconds ticking down here in the first quarter. And the potent, prolific offense of Florida State held to just 3 points so far. But with the ball when we come back to the second period.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Carter-Finley Stadium here in Raleigh, North Carolina. 33rd chapter of Florida State and North Carolina State. Buck Jones along with Brock Ewart and Jessica Mendoza down at the sidelines. Beginning the second period, Florida State with the ball at North Carolina State's 21-yard line. E.J. Manuel, the school's all-time leader in completion percentage. Leading this often at option 90. Handed off to Thompson. Nice cutback. And Thompson down to the 16-yard line. Got about 5 on the play. Chris Thompson talked about it a little bit earlier. Coming back from a year ago when he broke 2 vertebrae in his neck. Missed the rest of the season in that Wake Forest game, after that Wake Forest game, and has really showed no signs of that injury since that time. 7 rushes for 50 yards so far coming into this game. About 450 yards on the season. And he never plays football again. Here he is once again on the call, and then some with the first down, 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. Making it look kind of simple right now, Brock.
This is called downhill run, and you see a hat on a hat. And those linemen and the running back once again, Pryor, earning the game ball, doing the little things, freeing up the lane, let his buddy Thompson get the glory. And what a strong kid, packed in 180 pounds, running between the tackles.
First and goal. Manuel into the end zone. Touchdown, the tight end, Nick O'Leary with the catch.
What does run do to a defense? It gets everybody's eyes in the backfield for that half step, and you can see Earl Wolf shaking his head, and they know play pass can come down there in the red zone around the goal line, but they can't help it. Everybody sucks up to the run. No hesitation whatsoever. Back pylon throw, well executed by Florida State.
The 10th touchdown pass of the year for E.J. Manuel. The first touchdown catch this season. Nick O'Leary, the tight end. I'd like to say he's a Dallas Clark type of tight end. Has that kind of potential. And interestingly enough, the grandson of the legendary golfer Jack Nicklaus. Not quite a hole-in-one, but hey, that's a pretty good catch. Seminoles with the lead when we come back. Hey folks, Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. highlight a star-studded field. And the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship heads to legendary Talladega Speedway. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Talladega next Sunday at 1 on ESPN. And Brad Keselowski holding a 5-point lead over Johnson as the chase shifts to Talladega Speedway. Nice close race coming up, and there's Thompson leaving the field. He was being attended to by the athletic training staff during our commercial.
Pit stop.
Change a right front tire. Get back out there. Florida State drive, 11 plays, 80 yards. The 5:36 they used to score is the longest drive-by time this season. Now, what do you make of that stat? Any kind of significance?
Patience, 3rd and 17. Just the number of times that their 5th-year senior took what was there, and then when you couldn't run it effectively, their play-action pass is devastating.
Wilson watches it go overhead out of the end zone. Back to the 20-yard line. It'll come actually 25. Let's go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. A check on Nebraska and Ohio State over on ABC. And Taylor Martinez has thrown his first interception of the season. Bradley Roby picks off Martinez, takes it back. But Nebraska has scored 13-7. The Cornhuskers have just tacked on another.
Well, there's been so much emphasis about Taylor Martinez changing his mechanics, and it seems to be paying off right now. First down and 10. Adopted backup tailback Thornton. Two freshmen actually started the year number 4 on the depth chart. They were thinking about redshirting him, but they had a couple of injuries. One of them to James Washington. He got hurt, and then another one of their tailbacks suspended. And with that, Thornton thrust into the lineup and playing a significant role right now.
A little easier day against the Citadel, where he ran for 145 yards and running up against this front seven, but a good test for a freshman to see what just the very best in college football look like.
Goes in motion. Running good pass. His receiver slipping coming out of his break, and it's incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Peyton, the intended receiver.
And that's unfortunate. Those are the plays you got to have. When you're playing a really good team at your place, what you can't do is allow this crowd to stop dancing and go quiet. You need to get some momentum. You need to get some good feel back and give them something to cheer about. You got a rarity. You got a one-on-one with a single safety there. And a play that you can execute. Those are the ones you have to hit.
As Glennon, during that players-only meeting that Jessica talked about, told his teammates, hey, it's a long season, guys. Got to be all in for 6 more weeks, and we can do something real special. Pass complete and tackled immediately. Hegedus picks up 6 and good enough for the first down. Move the chains and a big conversion on 3rd down.
I said earlier, you better prepare yourself to get hit this evening. And it doesn't look like much, but it's 6'6", tumbling down to the ground. Ooh, and I like this. A little wildcat look.
Yeah. Glennon better line up on side. Thornton taking a wildcat snap. Didn't fool that many guys on defense. A 2-yard gain. Smith making the stop for the Seminoles. So Dana Bible looking a little bit exotic on that formation.
Well, he said he's going to use every bit of his play sheet tonight, and you have to. Against a group like this, especially with 3 starters out on your offensive line, it's going to be very difficult for Tom O'Brien just to run his base stuff. I'd like to see some shots down the field here. When they get their opportunities, you already saw one to Peyton. Get your chances, throw it down the field.
Deep out, complete, flag down. Boy, what a great catch by Peyton. Fought off the defensive back on the play to make the grab. Got his body in between himself and the ball. The defender in the ball, but there's a flag down on the play. Let's wait a little bit. A 19-yard gain if it stands.
Pass interference for 13 defense. Penalty declined. Result of the play is accepted. First down.
And there's not many matchups that are favorable to you, but this is one of them. And this is a true freshman in Darby outside against your leading wideout. And Peyton is not a blazer. He's not a burner, and that's fairly incidental contact, but a nice job of Peyton to fight through it. And when you get your matchups that you can win, your strength against one of the rare weaknesses, you've got to take advantage.
10 from the 44. Greasy, tough to outrun those defensive ends. They move so well. That was Bjorn Werner. The man from Germany we talked about. Was only a 2-star recruit. Was homesick when he was playing in Connecticut. Left after his sophomore year, came back for his senior year, and the scouts really caught on to him.
Look at him at the top of the screen here. We've already seen him climb down the line of scrimmage. Now he's fighting off a block. And that's a Tyson Chandler trying his best at right tackle, but that one is a mismatch. If Peyton on a freshman corner is an advantage NC State, anytime you're going at Werner one-on-one with Chandler, that's a disadvantage.
2nd and 16 now. Incomplete, good coverage down the sidelines by the Seminoles secondary. Number 27, Xavier Rhodes. Working against Peyton. Maybe it's going to be a tough night right there. 3rd and long coming up, and Glennon just 4 of 10 passing for 22 yards so far. How did they remedy that?
You avoid 3rd and 16s, and you find some play action pass. And here's real danger zone. And this is where Florida State, one of the rare times tonight, 3rd and extra long. Keep an eye on these 2 defensive ends.
95, 30, number 91. Down the seam and picked off. Brooks, the safety, has the first interception of the ball game for the Seminoles. Terrence Brooks, who struggled so much in that game against Clemson, bouncing back with an interception. That's the 4th interception of the season for the Seminoles, giving the offense good starting field position on the next drive. 10-0 Florida State with the lead, just underway here in the second period. 1st down and 10 for the Seminoles on the 45-yard line. Defense for North Carolina State, how are they doing it so far?
We're seeing some good penetration up front. Thomas Steele on a couple occasions stopping that run game before it can get started. NC State's an active crew, and they knew tonight that the only shot they had defensively to was assert themselves at the line of scrimmage. And then here's a rarity. That's Sterling Lucas, a middle linebacker, just the 2nd sack of his career, getting home on E.J. Manuel.
See what they can get done on this series defensively.
You better rise up now. The last thing you can do against this group defensively is put yourself in a big hole.
Play action, backside pressure, and Manuel brought down for the 2nd time tonight. Ricky Dowdy with the sack, the 6'2" junior. They move him around a lot, don't they? On the nickel package, loss of 2.
Well, I like it. I think defensive coordinator Mike Archer can feel what you and I are feeling up here, and that is you better not let this game get away from you. And you may have to do something defensively to force the issue a little bit. You may have to try to create a turnover, some negative plays from your defensive group, because offensively you're sustaining very little right now. Good look at Mike Archer, a very aggressive guy. He knows at some points he's undermanned tonight. He's got to bring it.
James Wilder Jr. The tailback. Manuel under heat again, and they sack him again back at the 38-yard line. Brandon Pittman, and for an update on Thompson, let's go down to Jessica.
Well, Mark, they took in Thompson into the locker room. They're checking out his elbow. They said he will return, but they're not sure how long it's going to take. It's definitely a problem they had to look at in the locker room.
All right, Jessica. Now it's 3rd and 16 for Florida State.
Nevada out here, and we've seen back-to-back passes and back-to-back blitzes being effective of NC State. Remember, it was 3rd and 17 on the previous series. Emmanuel stood strong and threw that in cut to move the chains. This is pivotal for NC State defensively to get off the field.
A little movement up front. Wolfpack players pointing at the Seminoles.
False start, number 70 offense, 5 yards, 3rd down.
Move it back to the 34.
Probably a good time for a screen. Jimbo does such a nice job in his screen package or a draw. Last thing you can do here is turn the ball over.
Backside pressure on Manuel, steps up, finds his receiver, Dent. And Dent pushed out of bounds right around midfield, about 5 yards short of the 1st down. So it sets up a 4th down after the 16-yard gain. And a minor win once again for this Wolfpack defense. Florida State averaging over 51 points per game coming into this.
You can see once again, head coach, quarterback don't mind communicating like the Jones family. A little bit animated at times. And I think E.J. Manuel's saying, that's on me. I got to see those blitzers a little bit earlier. I need to change protection to get the ball out of my hands.
It calls for the fair catch. He feels it cleanly. the 12-yard line. Well, Brock, we were talking about the fact that North Carolina State, very disheartening, disconcerting loss last week down in South Florida against Miami. The players-only meeting subsequent to that. The jury may be rendering its verdict. They've gotten over it right now, the way they're playing, or not?
Yeah, much more disciplined than a week ago. 14 penalties, big plays, explosive plays left and right defensively. They're keeping things in front of them. They're playing much harder, and you expected that at home. You'd figure you'd feed off of this home crowd tonight, and defensively giving their offense a chance to hopefully get it going and find a rhythm.
First down and 10. Interception. Last time he had the ball in his hands. Hands it off this time. Creasy tripped up after a gain of about 2 on the play. Tackle made by Anthony McLeod, and Williams had his top pop off a little bit, so he's going to have to sit down for one play as per the new rule. 8.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Seminoles leading by 10. Coming into the game with a 5-0 record. The last time Florida State went 6-0 was 1999, the same year they went on to win the national championship. Ambitions once again. This year's version of the Seminoles. This is a realistic chance and possibility. And with a defense like that, why not? Anthony McLeod, the first one to get to Glennon for the sack. That's their 16th sack of the season.
Been a bit of a reoccurring theme. Just look at the pocket collapse. And I said earlier, Werner, Carradine get a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. But you can't forget about McLeod and Dawkins in the middle. This is why they're NFL team number 34. As that NFL executive told me off the plane. Because to have 2 guys that are going to be playing on Sundays as pass rushers, McLeod and Dawkins in the middle, both 300 plus, so active. Mark Stoops knows what he has. He has a really good front four that makes his job much, much easier.
Jenkins, the All-American, injured. With a foot injury for the rest of the year. Out of the backfield, this is Creasy. And Creasy got a lot of yards, but not quite enough. Stopped up short by about 2 yards. Got 13, needed 15. So 4th down coming up for the Wolfpack.
There's nothing harder as a quarterback, Mark, than when you're facing a defense that can get home with their 4. That's their front 4 against your 5, because you know you're going to go up against 7 in zone coverage, and those windows are going to be incredibly small, and you're going to have to take some risks, as Glennon did on that last drive with an interception. It's what so many of those SEC schools have done over the last 6 years. Dominant defensive line allows you to play dominant defense.
Looking to field it on the run, but it takes a Seminole bounce, and it's loose now. It was touched. And it looks like Florida State got it back at the 47-yard line. Reggie Northrup, number 29 on special teams, coming up with a loose pill. They like to communicate at Florida State.
ESPN College Football Primetime, brought to you by Buick. Experience your kind of convenience, peace of mind, entertainment, and luxury. And Ally Bank, your money needs an ally.
Look at the Hall of Fame ceremonies last night here at North Carolina State University. Roman Gabriel, former quarterback. Ted Brown, the running back. David Thompson, Skywalker, with that 40-inch vertical leap. Great of the Denver Nuggets, started off in the ABA, former North Carolina State Wolfpack great, and of course Jimmy Valvano inducted posthumously.
Was he the first that took the dollar bill off the top of the backboard?
That was Herman the Helicopter. He took $2, inflation. Chris Thompson in the backfield, back in the ball game, dotting the I. Pryor the fullback, and it's Thompson. Didn't get to the edge, so cuts it up. About the 38-yard line. Wrapped up that right elbow, which was attended to in the locker room a few moments ago. It's not like they don't have a plethora or an embarrassment of riches at the tailback spot this year.
Well, Chris Thompson knows that, and he's going to get himself back in the game. He doesn't want to give up his carries to, as you said, a very talented crew behind him, James Wilder Jr.
Also, Devontae Freeman, who was their leading rusher last year. Thompson, a gaping hole. And inside the 10, that 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. Boy, there was a big gap there on the left side, allowing him to scamper for 35.
Yeah, this NC State defense has been on the field entirely too much. And look at that lane right there. It doesn't matter which tailback's in the game. That is a crease that anybody can get through in Florida State. And this is the danger for NC State defensively. You can move, you can shift, you can blitz. But if you're on the field too long, they're gonna wear on you.
First and goal. Johnson again. Good open field tackle that time by the corner, number 25, Dante Johnson. No gain on the play. It'll be second down and goal. If that doesn't work, what do you like here on second down, partner?
We already saw a very nice, effective play action pass. And anytime you get E.J. Manuel, they're so good on the option too. I love the option. I love running those plays to the field and having such athleticism and size and strength at the quarterback position. And NC State better hold Florida State to a field goal. 25 plays of offense, 61 yards right now. You can't afford to go down 17.
Down to the red zone here. They got a touchdown with Nick O'Leary, the tight end. They pass it. Thompson out of the backfield, pushed out of bounds at about the 3, actually the 2.5 by Dante Johnson. So third down and goal to go. They've run it once, they've passed it once. Well, E.J. Manuel getting the call from the sidelines.
2 more wide receivers come in. You can expect them to spread the field here. This is where EJ's athleticism is just simply so difficult on the defense.
Remember, they have the 6'6" Rodney Smith split to the bottom of your screen.
Quarterback draw, too.
Bobble the snap. Manuel, incomplete, broken up in the end zone by Dante Johnson, who says, no, not this time.
EJ took a shot there as well. This group has hit him more than he's been hit this season. Sacked just 6 times coming into tonight. He's already taken 3 sacks, and that was another good shot.
Figure the bobble snap had the timing of the play off a little bit.
That's exactly right. And what a win for that defense. Still just giving yourself a chance. You got to keep this thing close enough to keep the crowd in and hopefully give your offense time to make one big play.
Hopkins, this one from 20 yards away. And he knocks it through for his second of the night. North Carolina State measuring wins in small increments right now, down 13-0. It's upset of Stanford. Keith Price and the Huskies had their sights set on shocking DeAnthony Thomas, the number 2 Oregon, number 23 Washington, and number 2 Oregon at 10:30 tonight on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN, the app. And you're gonna have to keep an eye on this guy, Kenyon Barner, putting up big numbers for the Ducks. We saw him last week. He was straight up impressive.
Senior filled the hole in the void left by Michael James in a big way. And much like Thompson tonight, just incredibly tough, durable guys at 180, 190 pounds. As we've learned with Oregon the last 2 weeks, the national television audience has learned they are a second half team. Yeah. Washington may play with them for a half, as Washington State and Arizona did in the previous 2 weeks. But you've got to play and play your best ball in the second half if you're going to win down in Autzen.
Third quarter of Oregon last week against Washington State and Seattle was nothing short of impressive.
And this is a big drive. This just to get points, not even a touchdown, but just to get any continuity and rhythm going offensively for NC State.
From the 6, it's Palmer. Down at the 20-yard line and a late flag throw.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 24. That penalty is half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. First down.
And let's go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. Coming up with the Outback Steakhouse halftime report. So far, so good for South Carolina. The Gators take a stand in the swamp, and Geno Smith tangles with Texas in Austin. I'm joined by Todd McShay and Robert Smith coming up at the half.
All right, Wendy, yeah, Geno Smith's Miramar High School Patriots with a big win last night in South Florida against St. Thomas Aquinas, one of the powerhouse schools in the nation, high school program, formerly led by George Smith.
And what a monumental win for Will Muschamp as well, trying to establish himself out of the shadow of Urban Meyer in year 2 and a big one against LSU.
Unit tailback gets the call here. After about the 13-yard line, somebody lost a hat. Carradine with the stop on the play. And we have an injured player at the 14-yard line. Number 44, the fullback, Logan Winkles. North Carolina State needs everybody healthy and all hands on deck for this game. They talked about the importance of this being not only a divisional game, but you can't afford to go 2 down in the conference, in the division, as a result of that.
And you just can't afford 1- and 2-yard gains on first down. We saw them in the first couple series. Those run plays were 5 yards, were 6, were 7 yards. And Florida State has gotten better as this game's evolved, and that's a good sign there as Winkles just able to get off the field without a cart.
Take one more look at what happened on this play.
He's just going to get rolled up, unfortunately, there, and the ankle gets caught underneath. Helmet pops off. Oh. That's a tough kid.
2nd and 7. Way to go. Tough to outrun those Seminole defenders. Timmy Jernigan.
I talked to you earlier about the pass rush with 4. You know what else is unique? And when we come in and you study these stat lines each week and something just pops out at you. How about the fact that Carradine is the leading tackler on this Florida State defense? A defensive end. There you see Jernigan at D tackle. That's a 300-pound defensive tackle, shedding his block and making tackles. We've seen McLeod with the tackle for loss and the sack. This front 4 is just not one-dimensional. And that makes you defensively so difficult to contain.
3rd and 11. Running comes underneath. Casey stopped up short of the first down at the 15-yard line, and a very impotent looking exhibition that time offensively, as a 6-yard gain going to be followed by a punt now.
Well, if you're watching this game, Florida State should remind you of elite SEC defenses. They should remind you of what Alabama and LSU have been able to do over the years, and what Florida has done this season better than they have in years past. And they just make life on Mike Glennon and the quarterback and an offensive coordinator incredibly difficult because he had very few answers.
This is the number 3 team in the nation. Green watches it bounce. They hit a North Carolina State player. A 41-yard punt and a flag on the play.
Kick catch interference, number 30 of the kicking team. 15 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
New rule on that this year as we go back to Wendy again in the studio.
Mark, thank you. A check on Nebraska and Ohio State. This game on ABC. The Buckeyes trailing 17-7. But keep an eye on Braxton Miller. What a run by the quarterback. 72 yards. He's brought down at the 3, but then Carlos Hyde punches it in. 3-point ball game. 10:45 left in the first half.
All right, Wendy back here. After the penalty, moves the ball to the 39-yard line of North Carolina State. That's the first time that we can speak of a penalty for the Wolfpack today. Actually, the second, but this one a little bit more costly, bringing the ball into their territory. Thompson again. Thompson scooting to the edge and pushed out of bounds at about the 32-yard line. Got 7. Boy, for a guy who only goes $1.87, seems to be pretty durable.
Well, he's taken a little bit more of a beating tonight than he has in many of these other games in the regular season, but you love the patience. You love the patience of Jimbo Fisher. He's not panicking. He's going to stick to that run because he knows eventually this run will not only wear NC State down, it will also open up that play action game.
It's about to Thompson again. Another nice gain to about the 27-yard line. Jessica, we've talked about Florida State's communications. What's the quarterback saying to the coach?
Well, E.J. Manuel's been talking with Jimbo Fisher about how he can improve, and he's almost arguing with him. And Jimbo had told me this week that, hey, he needs to stay in the moment and stop trying to continue to get better in game. I'll tell you what, not only himself, but he was talking to one of his wide receivers, telling him, hey, what can I do to get better and make you better?
Manuel has a great effect on his teammates. That pass, a little bit overthrown, incomplete. Intended for Greg Dent, but back to that last point. Your thoughts?
It reminds me of a guy that I spent a couple years with, and that's Peyton Manning. And it's one thing is the coaching staff told us this week that EJ's taken a real step to have the hard conversations and the unpopular ones at times, to hold guys accountable. And Peyton was much the same way. He was demanding and held guys accountable, but he was so hard on himself. The guys had so much respect for him, and they would take some of that at times difficult conversation because they knew he was just as demanding on his game as he was yours.
Second and 10, Thompson on the handoff, upended and falling forward to the line of scrimmage. Ty McGill holding them to no gain, and Florida State with 2 timeouts remaining. Going to burn one here, and we're going to take one right along with them. Back with more after this. Florida State with the football, and the Seminoles leading 13-0, 1:18 to go. They're looking at 3rd down and 11. And so far in the ball game, hey, what else is new? Chris Thompson going for over 100 yards again this season, the 6th one of his career. He's got 14 rushes, 115 yards. What do you like on 3rd and 11 coming?
Well, as a quarterback, I'm thinking I've got 3 in my pocket. I've got one of the best kickers in America. He's already hit 2 tonight. That put us up 16 before half. But I've also got to not take a sack. We've taken 3 sacks already, been hit a number of times. Just play with a lot of that speed and anticipation he's played with early this season.
They had that big breakthrough game against Clemson. They were down, faced adversity, and stormed back for the win. A different quarterback ever since gets the completion, and that's going to be short of the 1st down by a couple of yards to Rashard Green. Do you think about going for it here to make a statement? Get some more points?
Yeah, I think you wind this clock all the way down and you make sure you talk to your staff, and that's what Jimbo's telling the side judge here. Let's work this thing, take all the time off, not give NC State any time left, or very little before half, and then get with my staff. And do we have a call on 4th and 1 or 2 that we love? And if so, pull the trigger. And if not, as I said, rely on your redshirt senior kicker that's been nothing but productive in his career.
Got a couple of field goals tonight, Dustin Hopkins does. 4th down and 3, so they continue to run it down, play clock. They call a timeout right before it expires and take a timeout. We're going to take one with them.
Their final timeout of the half.
Well, Florida State 5-0. Last time they were 5-0 was 2005. But yeah, you're underlining the big one down there against the Gators.
Well, this has a chance of changing significantly as well. You beat LSU. How far is LSU going to fall? If Georgia right now is getting manhandled by South Carolina, I mean, realistically, could Florida up all the way up to 6-7 in these rankings with an incredible win at home today?
And some Seminole fans dreading the potential nightmare of them being undefeated in number 3, stuck behind Alabama in Oregon. ACS standings coming out in a couple of weeks. This field goal attempt from 37 yards away. Dustin Hopkins, who's 2 for 2 tonight. Make it 3 for 3. And the lead up to 16 points with 28 seconds to go. We keep saying there are little wins by that defense, but they can't give up little wins or else you find yourself behind big. Well, ESPN College Football available anytime, anywhere on your computer or mobile device via WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Nice little gadget to have on your phone or your laptop or your iPad.
Well, if Jess got to listen in on that conversation a little bit with Jimbo and E.J. Manuel. I'm going to guess the conversation at halftime will be between those two. Got to do a better job against the blitz. We've been running the ball very effectively today, but NC State is hitting me, if I'm E.J. Manuel, a little bit too much tonight. Either I'm not protecting myself well, or we got to get to some better protections and better plays to hit some of that blitz.
Is that on him to get them in and out of different plays?
I think that that's probably both on play caller, figuring out what NC State's plan is. Yeah, and also on your fifth-year senior, whether that's changing your protection, getting in and out of those plays, or at times just getting the ball out of your hands and not taking and avoiding some of that contact.
As much as Jimbo Fisher might not look like the coach that's leading in this game right now, conversely, quarterback Mike Glennon has had a mediocre night so far, just 6 of 13 passing for 41 yards and 1 interception. C.J. Wilson back for the kick at his own 3-yard line. 8 seconds to go in the first half. 2-yard deep is going to take it out to the 22-yard line. 21 seconds to go in the first half. Lennon had different hopes coming into this ball game, but still just a couple touchdowns behind. A couple points. Older brother played football at Virginia Tech. Says he likes to watch a lot of Matt Ryan. The two of them have drawn comparisons because of their height, for one thing.
Because of the coaching staff and Dana Bible, the coordinator that has worked with both.
He's a little Matty Ice magic right now, handing it off to Shadrick Thornton.
They got a lot of work to do. They've got to figure out a way to play to their strengths. They got to figure out a way to get Mike Glennon's arm heated up. And that early run game that was successful, they've got to find some more of those answers to balance it out.
16-0 at the break. They shut him out last year, looking for the double shutout. Right now, let's go back to Wendy with the Outback halftime report.
Let's have a little fun tonight. Let's have a little fun tonight.
Welcome back, everyone, to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Miller Lite. Under the lights at Carter-Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's the ACC on ESPN. And the 33rd chapter of Florida State and North Carolina State. The Seminoles with a 16-0 lead as we get ready to start the second half of play. Jones chopping it up here with Brock Heward. Jessica Mendoza down in the field joining us shortly. Well, North Carolina started this game thinking about, hey, we have to get past Miami. Don't let them beat us twice. They haven't, but they haven't been able to beat Florida State. When does 16-0 feel like 26-0?
When you run 29 offensive plays and you look at that stat sheet and you see 68 yards, 2 yards per play, and you've just been in your own end zone or part of the field that entire first half. Florida State has really dominated. E.J. Manuel's continued to be efficient. Now, the one thing NC State has done tonight that they did not do a week ago, they've limited some of the explosive plays. That's why this game is 16-0. But you better get a stop coming out to begin the second half and find a way to generate, maybe even manufacture, if you have to, some offense.
Yeah, Glennon at quarterback having a tough time. The Florida State defense seems to have him solved so far. This is a quarterback that threw for a career-high 440 yards last week, albeit in a loss against Miami.
Well, it's a quarterback that has taken a beating, that a four-man rush is dominating the line of scrimmage. They've not gotten any explosive plays themselves, and Florida State's really had their way. As we talk about all the time, coming out of the half, going in and coming out so critical.
The kick return, Carlos Williams. One half of the Williams brother combination for the Seminoles. Pushed out of bounds at about the 33, where it'll be first down and 10. But first, time for our game track, brought to you by John Hancock. And what a first half it was for Chris Thompson, going over 100 yards for the 6th time in his career. Got Wilder and Freeman behind him, and in the passing game, Nick O'Leary with a touchdown catch, the first one of the game. The only one of the game, and the Florida State Seminole defense limiting Glennon to just 41 yards passing so far. 1st and 10, Florida State. Gets rid of it quickly. Pass complete. Gonna mark it at the 42-yard line. It's going to be just shy of a 1st down to Rashad Green. Here's the numbers from the first half. What number jumps off the page at you, Bart?
Look at that. I mean, I talked about being in your own end of the field for NC State the entire game, and Florida State very different. 22 plays in opponent territory. I won't be surprised at all here coming out of the second half that we'll see more of that. The ball out of EJ's hands quicker, avoiding some of those sacks and pressures.
2nd and 1. They're running to the fullback, Lonnie Pryor, with a rare carry, tackled immediately by Ricky Dowdy. It'll be 3rd down and short coming up for the Seminoles. 2 yards to go. The defense last week that gave up 556 yards passing and 5 touchdowns against Miami. A lot tighter this week, but still down right now, 16-0. 3rd and 2. James Wilder got in the eye of tailback. He gets the call, and he's going to be stopped up short of the 1st down. Barely got back to the line of scrimmage. A good surge led by Thomas Teal. And a nice way to start the 3rd quarter if you're North Carolina State.
That's pride. That's coming out of half, and that's Florida State telling you by alignment, bringing the big boys in, the extra tight end, that we're going to run right at you. That's what football people call God's play. That is the power play, the fullback and pulling the guard. And that tests your manhood, and North Carolina State rising up. A 3-and-out, a critical 3-and-out to begin the second half of play.
It's the 3rd punt of the night for Florida State, Kason Beatty. Rashard Smith standing at his own 21-yard line. Beatty drives him all the way back to the 14 where he calls for the fair catch. 46-yard punt, nothing on the return. Jessica, what did the coach have to say at halftime?
Well, Mark, I spoke with Jimbo Fisher at the half. And Brock, you alluded this earlier about EJ Manuel and his offense against the blitz. And I spoke with Jimbo, and he said he just needs to read the ball better. He needs to be able to read his defense, and also something that he normally does very well. Defensively, he said that his team, he wants him to put even more pressure on the quarterback.
Well, when you have the tools that he has, Brock, certainly you got enough tools in the shed there. Curving at the ends. Guys inside did a nice job in the 1st half as well. Let's see how Glennon gets off. Completes his 1st pass here in the 3rd quarter. Palmer, and gets the 1st down. Elias Palmer, one of the fastest players on the team, picks up 15. 2nd leading receiver coming in tonight.
Just imperative to find completions. And even this is harder. And you see the coverage right on top. That ball had to be on that spot. That was about a 6-inch window to fit that in, and Glennon does. But find a way to feel good about what you're doing and get completions to start the second half.
Creasy cuts it upfield and is stopped at the 33. But a nice block from Fordham up front. Picked up 6 on the play. 2nd down and 4 for North Carolina State. Going back to last year's game, they still haven't scored in over 6 quarters now against Florida State. 2nd and 4 coming up. Glennon and his counterpart, EJ Manuel, a couple friends going back to their high school days in Virginia. Battling it out tonight. Backfield wide open, Creasy put his head down and kept those legs going forward and picked up the 1st down.
In Dayton Bible, a pro-style system, a West Coast style system. He was going through his walkthrough yesterday. Terminology very familiar to me, all NFL terminology. And he knows, and I'm sure the conversation with Mike Glennon is we have got to be patient. Even though we're down 16, you can't force the issue. I'm going to try to find on my call sheet a shallow cross, a swing route. Find a way to just get those completions because good things follow.
They're sporting the true freshman. He's going to be brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Telvin Smith leading the way. He's going to lose a couple of yards on the play. That's about 1. Second 11 coming up. There's Smith, former teammate of Greg Reed, former Seminole. Played together in high school. A talented high school program. Of course, getting great players, not a difficult thing for Florida State. Second and 11. Running underneath complete. And that, no flag thrown. There was one earlier. The pass was complete to Underwood. Almost looked like a horse collar tackle from up here.
You're going to see a hold against NC State on the front end. Once again, that 4-man rush so effective.
Holding number 74 in the offense. Personal foul, horse collar tackle on number 27 of the defense. Those penalties will offset replay second down.
All right, we do it again. Against Rhodes.
I told you about the right tackle. He is just a redshirt sophomore, and he's a big kid. Tyson Chandler, 6'6", 340, and that's a line stunt, and that's trying to help your quarterback out. And if you got to tackle him once in a while, you tackle him, and you can't have the back of that collar and pull down.
Tackle him by his shoestrings, man.
You got to do what you got to do. Got to move your feet, big fella.
Second down and 11. They're going to redo this one. Purvis in motion to the top of your screen. And he pulls the trigger incomplete at the 47-yard line. Well defended by Terrence Brooks. It was intended for Quentin Payton. It'll be third down and long coming up.
Yeah, he had his eyes all over Glennon. Just playing that zone coverage. He had an interception earlier, did Brooks. He's baiting Glennon into throwing that. You want to know not just a defensive coordinator's best friend is that front four, but these two safeties as well. Love when those front four can get home and they can read and react on the back end.
Forget next coming up. It'll be Washington, number 23 against number 2 Oregon. Took care of Washington State last week.
See how they can help out this young right tackle.
Run it into the boundary. Nice cut. And Shadra, pardon me, Thornton. Let's see where they spot this. They're going to put it down right at the marker. It looks like he's got enough.
I love that call, by the way. You want to play good pass rushers that are so active and on third and extra long, they know they can stuff their stat sheet. They want to get that sack, run it right at that upfield momentum from the defender.
Talked about Thornton a little bit earlier. He was number 4 on the depth chart, but due to suspension and injury, elevated to that number 2 spot behind Tony Creasy. As we get the measurement, can't see the ball from our perch here. And he got enough. Okay, let's talk about the true freshman, Thornton. You played quarterback. Are you trusting a true freshman to protect you in passing situations?
I've watched
How good do they have to be?
I've watched 5 games out of the kid, and I'll tell you what he does. And you learn really quick with freshmen. Are they willing to stick their face in there? And he is. In fact, his pad level at times is a bit challenging, and he's very upright, but he's more than willing. That's what you want to see as a veteran player. All those linemen, quarterback. Hey, young kid, you ready to stick your nose in there? We're doing it. We're trying to run block for you. You do your part. And when they're willing, yeah, you can live with that.
Purvis in motion. Lennon finds his receiver. And Palmer brought down immediately by Vince Williams. Let's go downstairs to Jessica for more.
Well, Brock, you talked about Thornton sticking his nose in there. I talked to Mike Glennon this week, and he was saying that not only in the game, but in the film room, he's the first guy he's ever seen beat him to the film room. And he's impressed with how much this freshman is a student of the game. He's asking him questions, and he's one of the most mature freshmen he's ever seen.
Bodes well for their future. Second down and 1. It's their best field position of the night. Nothing doing on that run by Creasy. Stopped up right at the line of scrimmage, a yard short. Pardon me, that's still Thornton in the ball game.
That's Christian Jones. Not called his name a ton tonight, but he's yet another stud. 5-star recruit. His dad, Willie, his brother, Willie, as well, played here at Florida State, played at a high level, 6'4", 240, Central Casting from the weeks I learned out.
Getting right off the factory line scene. 3rd and short. Pass is caught. And a first down. Boy, what a great effort by Watson.
Going to halftime, 29 plays, 68 yards. What do you do in the second half? You start moving the pocket. You start running at that pressure a little bit. Get a little play action pass instead of being a lame duck back there. Get Glennon on the move. And we've seen now some throws on this drive we didn't see in the first half. Some throws into some tight windows, some of that arm strength and that velocity that the NFL scouts do love out of the 6'6" gunslinger.
10th play of the drive coming up. Glennon underneath and incomplete, intended for Tobias Palmer again. This looked like he just threw that one away. But so far, pretty impressive drive for North Carolina State to start the 3rd quarter, their first offensive possession. Coach O'Brien, the former Marine.
Nice job of keeping the Florida State offense on the sideline. That's one thing the Marine O'Brien said to us yesterday repeatedly. We've got to find a way to possess the ball.
Leonard steps up and fires a strike. Down to the 17-yard line. Watson again. And another first down. Back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. It's a Taco Bell studio update. Nebraska and Ohio State, this game at the half on ABC. How about Braxton Miller? 10 rushes, 137 rushing yards, and that touchdown, 35-24 Buckeyes.
All right, Wendy back here.
Full start.
Flag.
Number 53 of the offense. 5 yards.
Move this one down. Well, it hasn't been the inordinate amount of penalties they had last week. Last week they had 14 of them for a total of 100 yards against Miami.
All right, there's a lot of frustration. That's your center. They call that on Camden Wentz. And just look at that drive. More productivity coming out here in the second half with some nice adjustments, and you had the entire first half of 29 plays. A lot of frustration there. The offensive line of NC State feeling like that Florida State defense is baiting referees into that call and making a move, and at times you'll even see those defenders imitate a snap count.
When you talk about them imitating a snap count, what do you mean? Are they actually making sounds?
Well, the real sneaky ones and the veteran guys will say things like back set and have a call to one another of,
really?
Hey, all I'm saying is back set. Well, it sounds a whole lot like set hut, and can throw those guys and throw those offensive guys for a loop. Oh yeah, those defensive
You've heard
linemen,
about those
defensive
guys,
linemen are always looking for ways.
You don't trust
an
them.
advantage.
First and 15. Back at the 22. Good time. Back the other way and dangerous and into traffic. Almost picked off for the second time by Brooks. It was intended for Peyton. Maybe 2nd and 15 coming up.
Yeah, Mike Glennon got away with one there, and it's a good thing he's got some strength in his arm, but he's running away and late down the middle, and you can't afford it. Much like Manuel on the other side. This is a drive. This is a positive. This is a feel-good. The last thing you can do is not give yourself a chance to at least get 3 points. I would love to see some of those matchups. If you can create a one-on-one outside with, once again, you're going to see the Peyton who's been really quiet tonight.
2nd and 15. Wide open at the 20-yard line. Creasy. Back down at the 10. And 3rd and about 3 to go. Mixed it up pretty well with Creasy and now finding some success passing. Important opportunity here to convert. 3rd and 3. A little bit of tempo involved here too for North Carolina State. Getting out of that huddle quickly. Samuels defensively digging in. Into the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Tobias Palmer again. 4th down and 3. On comes the field goal.
And that's unfortunate. I think not only did he have a little window of opportunity to throw it, he also stepped up, running a much better job in this second half, and his linemen have given him a pocket to step up into. Not only did he have that throw on 3rd and 3, even as a lumbering guy, he may have fallen forward and scrambled for a 1st down as well.
Saved to attempt this field goal from 27.
27-yard attempt by Nicholas Sadie.
6 of 7 from this distance in his career. And to break the scoring back to last year's shutout against the Seminoles. And it's officially over. 3's better than none. 16-3 when we come back.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Look at beautiful Lake Raleigh. You know what? They have that great outdoor games on ESPN, right? That dog looks like he's in training, right? That long jump event they've got.
Oh, and he's snorting too.
Okay, getting in shape, man. Get that cardio going. Hey, fresh off last week's upset of Stanford, Keith Price and the Huskies, speaking of dogs, have their sights set on shocking DeAnthony Thomas at number 2 Oregon. Washington, Oregon, tonight at 10:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN, that great app. And look at the numbers of those 2 tailbacks. Well, one's a receiver, right? Kind of. Sort of.
Receiver, runner, kick and punt returner.
2 gunners on punt return, right? Coverage. 16-3. This one will come out to the 25-yard line. 6:50 to go. Lennon itching for a chance to get back on the field in a minute.
ESPN College Football Primetime, brought to you by Hyundai. Go online and show your loyalty to your school at HyundaiShowYourLoyalty.com. And UPS. Search UPS Football on Facebook.
Well, look at the Murphy Center. Wolfpack Hall of Champions. Wolfpack turf. The sculpture creates an iconic symbol of the university. It marks the entrance to the Murphy Center. A pack of wolves prowls atop the 21-foot tall stone mountain.
Perfect night for football. Just a gorgeous day today here.
Not like that 92-degree heat with 90% humidity last week for the Wolfpack down in Miami. Manuel, a little bootleg action, and he can run a little bit. Close to the 1st down, tiptoes out of bounds after a gain of about 8. Manuel, a big dude at 6'5", 240, moved it pretty well. Talked about that win against Clemson, where he really realized a lot of the potential, Brock, that people had seen for him from years. How big is that when a quarterback gets a signature win?
Just enormous, not only statistically, but to be the top 10 team in a marquee game day there, 400 yards total offense. It backs up all of that vocal leadership that becomes easy to EJ.
Hands it off to Thompson, falling forward for the 1st down. Got the 1st down, you know. Let's go back to Wendy first in the studio.
Mark, thank you. And what likely doesn't come as a surprise, we've got a shootout in Texas. West Virginia in town. Geno Smith to Stedman Bailey. 4 touchdowns for Geno Smith. It's 41-38. And Connor Shaw, the 7-yard touchdown run. The route is on in Columbia. 35-0 Gamecock.
Well, that would be a route. Manuel taking a shot up top. Incomplete. No flag on the play. Broken up by Johnson. He's looking for Kenny Shaw.
Mike Archer was really praising Dante yesterday. They moved from safety to corner. Emerson, all the attention, the All-American on the other side a season ago. And all Johnson has done is come in and played that boundary corner very well. And this Florida State offense through this season, that Clemson game, has had the explosive plays. Not so tonight. Real credit to Emerson, especially Johnson, playing into that boundary and handling the speed of the Seminoles well.
2nd down and 10. Thompson to cut it up north-south. Didn't find much room there. About a yard on the play. Sterling Lucas making the stop.
And what happens, you come out on 3rd and 1 as Jimbo did. He wanted to establish it. He wanted to run that power play. And since then, it's been a little bit more horizontal run. And give Sterling Lucas and these linebackers credit. These
He's made some plays tonight, hasn't he?
They have really stretched the line of scrimmage pretty well. And Thompson's hit the crease and the crack on a few occasions. But by and large, that front 7 is overachieved this evening.
Fans bringing it now. Let's listen. Manuel has a man wide open and overshoots his receiver Benjamin, missing a golden opportunity. And it's 4th down, they'll punt it.
That's a big kid you're missing. You were down on the field with me pregame, and EJ's every bit of 6'4", and Benjamin's 6'5 plus. And I promise you what that conversation is, just give him a catchable ball. He's got him by 3 steps. You're going to get pass interference. He's 6'6". It doesn't have to be perfect, EJ. Back to what Jess was saying earlier. Such a perfectionist. Just give our guys a chance to make the play.
With this 5th punt. Tower inspired. Fair catch back at the 18-yard line called by Rashard Smith. North Carolina State trying to rally after the 45-yard punt when we come back. In the country, high on those NFL draft boards. Look at that range, look at the strength. Talked about him playing high school football for only 2 years, played up in Connecticut, and then left after his sophomore year, came back and finished up. Suffered a little bit of homesickness, but right now he's got opposing offenses feeling pretty sick, Brock.
He's got tremendous bend and just that natural athleticism. The athleticism of a guy that's 6'2", 205, and instead he's 6'4", 255, playing the run and the pass equally well. That's why he's so attractive to so many of those NFL teams.
And we'll know our Edward Jones profile this week. 5 minutes to go in the 3rd. Then he moved them long down the field on the last series. A pass complete, but there's a bunch of linen on the field in the backfield. Pass complete to Thornton out of the backfield. It's going to come back.
Number 79 offense. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. Replay 1st down.
You cover the NBA quite a bit, Mark, and you know when you're facing some superior athleticism, what do guys typically do? They reach, right? All that hand checking. And unfortunately for Tom O'Brien, you can't reiterate this enough, with a number of backups out, 3 veteran linemen up front you're counting on, they're all out. And when you're facing guys of this caliber and speed on the other side, you'll be no surprise to see the number of grounds and holding calls this evening.
Guys up front are pretty tough to slow down. Warner, Hawkins, DeFoul, a.k.a. Tank. 4.5 to go in the 3rd. Run it, this is Thornton. Thornton gets about 4. Hey, Jessica, what did Coach Stoops have to say?
Well, Mark Stoops was laying into his defense. You guys talked about perfectionism. Well, he was yelling at him, saying, you know what's coming. You need to cover them better. Well, a brave Tyler Hunter decided, who's a defensive back, decided to kind of speak up a little bit, and he laid it into him and said, we are so lucky they only have 3 points on the board, and it's on you.
Because he knows you got to bring it. You got to bring that intensity. They came out in that second half and didn't have quite all the rush. Weren't as tight in their coverage. Yeah, exacting and demanding when you're as talented as Florida State is.
Got away just in time, and that pass high intended for Watson. Let's go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. A check on Notre Dame and Miami. These two schools meeting for the first time in the regular season since 1990, and good things continue to happen for the Irish. George Atkinson III, the carry of 55 yards. Notre Dame up big, 34-3 at the end of 3.
That's a statement. I think a lot of people wondering Notre Dame, you're going to face a Miami team or maybe matchup. You're going to get to see some of your weaknesses, and Notre Dame showing they're nothing but a bunch of strengths. And like this Florida State team, very good within their front 7.
Kelly's got those guys playing ball. 3rd and 15. Running complete at the 20-yard line. Underwood Popped up short of the first down by a bunch of yards. Got about a 10 on that play. Brooks leading the way for the tackling unit. Brooks had an interception earlier tonight. Going to try and bring the punt unit in. Glennon, you might remember his brother played football for Virginia Tech. Grandfather played at Lehigh. There's a lot of help. Green calls for the fair catch at the 27-yard line, a 51-yard punt. Nothing on the return with 3 minutes to go here in the third. And
his coach asked him to be more accountable for one of the first times tonight. He's asking his guys, hey, give me some time up front and give us a chance to win.
It's been all Florida State, except for the field goal on the board by North Carolina State. And E.J. Manuel leading the way at efficient tonight.
Especially early, getting the ball out of his hands. The 9th most efficient quarterback in college football, and you love him throwing his receivers open. You also really dig a senior fullback that's willing to do the dirty work. And watch Pryor just lift Sterling Lucas right off his feet. And on the other side, Anthony McLeod and this front four have been so dominant, getting after Mike Glennon all night long.
First and 10 for the Seminoles. 27. Manuel hands it off to Thompson into the boundary. Magically stays on his feet. Not giving up on the play and picked up a good gain that time, about 15. And first down for the Seminoles.
And this is a statement drive. This is where your seniors and EJ and Thompson and company have got to be saying to one another on that sidelines, hey guys, enough's enough. We're on the road. Kind of letting this NC State team hang around a little bit. Let's do what we do well. Let's see if Thompson can keep those feet in bounds. He does, showing you some of that strength and athleticism.
Good thing he's a size 10, not 11. First and 10. Lee with the catch. Out near midfield. Let's go back to Wendy again in the studio.
Mark, thank you. A reminder on ABC, it's Ohio State leading Nebraska 35-24. Start of the second half, but Nebraska in the red zone, and the Cornhuskers making their way toward the end zone. It's 3rd and goal, but as it stands right now, Ohio State leading 35-24. All
right, thanks a lot, Wendy. 2nd and 3 after that game. Thompson gets the call again, stopped up. He got a yard on the play. Cato Bishop making the stop. You talked about E.J. Manuel's leadership, how vocal and vociferous he is on the field. Well, off the field, very understated. In fact, as we see a player being tended to, after that win against Clemson, E.J. Manuel gave the game ball to his father, Eric. And rather than indulge in some of the post-game festivities and partying, he had a quiet night with his dad. Went to IHOP. Got some pancake, got the number 3 special, some crispy bacon, and do it up with Dad a little bit. Hey folks, coverage of Monday Night Football continuing next week. First at 6:30, Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. And at 8:30, the undefeated Texans, led by Arian Foster, take on Mark Sanchez, and the Jets looking to get back on track after a disappointing Week 4 loss. Monday Night Football, Texans-Jets, Monday at 8:30 on ESPN. Let me ask you, I'm not going to be the first to ask you about the Jets.
They're a mess.
How soon does Tim Tebow come into the equation here now?
They keep losing, and unfortunately, the quarterback position's not the issue there in New York, in my humble opinion. They've got lots of issues, and they're facing the most complete team in the NFL. I think the Houston Texans and what they're doing in all phases are very, very tough.
How much of a surprise are they right now?
It has been building to a degree, to be honest with you. Well, I think all those pieces together and experience, much like the Seminole team, it's built to win now.
Trying to convert on 3rd and 3. They're just 1 of 8 on 3rd downs tonight. The pass is caught, and they convert for just the 2nd time this evening. Kenny Shaw going low to make the grab. Let's go back to Wendy.
Mark, thank you. Coming up in just a few minutes, kickoff in Eugene, Oregon. Kenyon Barner and the Oregon Ducks getting set to host number 23 Washington on ESPN in just about 2.5 minutes.
All right, Wendy back here. Thompson back down at the line of scrimmage. Nice tackle by Cato Bishop. Special players up front for North Carolina State.
North Carolina State front four, and really those linebackers as well, playing such a better game than they did a week ago. They jumped off sides 4 or 5 different occasions against Miami. The big plays against. They're keeping hope alive for this crowd, but I think this is also about the time where Mike Archer's got to look at the game going into the fourth quarter. Probably time where you hope your defense through blitz can find a way to make a play themselves.
2nd and 10. Manuel eludes the rush. Slings it incomplete, intended for his tight end, Nick O'Leary, who was actually open. But good pressure up front once again by Daryl Cato Bishop. Those players, Coach Mike Archer told us, you know, maybe more than anyone else on that defense right there, the game is really important to him. It's special for him. And he is the voice of the defense. 3rd and 10 coming up for Florida State.
Getting an opportunity to get back into this game.
I have many opportunities to cheer tonight. To get that offense off the field. Picked off! Justin Burris comes up with their first pick of the night. Man, did he ever have a beat on that one?
Florida State loves to run the slant pattern. They do it a lot, especially when they need a play. And these NC State cornerbacks finally jumped around. Take a look outside at the top of the screen. He knows that slant is coming. He beats the receiver to the spot. Did not see many of those. Just the 2nd interception of the year. Some 250 passes. E.J. Manuel with 1 interception. And NC State gets exactly what I was talking about. They needed to ignite this crowd and hopefully ignite this offense to get going.
And hands it off on 1st and 10. Tackle made on Thornton after a gain of about 1, and that might just wind down the end of the 3rd quarter. Manuel with 10 touchdown passes on the season and just his 2nd interception in the last 273 passes. That's the end of 3 periods of play. Florida State trying to make it 6-0 and recreate that magic from 1999. Welcome back, everyone, to Carter-Finley Stadium. North Carolina State winning the 3rd quarter. If you're looking for positives tonight, remember last time these two teams met here a couple of years ago, North Carolina State actually defeated Florida State 28-24. The Seminoles were going in to score late and fumbled, but boy, how does North Carolina State get some momentum going here off of this interception?
What you are telling yourself now is we are 1 big play away from making this a 6-point game.
And now a nice pass and catch for a 1st down into Florida State territory.
It's like you hear in these baseball playoffs as you're pushing towards a World Series. You just want to get the scoring run up to bat. If you're down, find a way to get a guy on base, 2 guys on base. And right now you're looking at that scoreboard as NC State goes up tempo.
Lennon wide open. That's Payton with the catch. Payton's been conspicuous by his silence tonight. Made a couple of plays earlier. Made one there, 1st down, and now a little more tempo in this.
Exactly right. And you want to get in Florida State thinking, holy cow, we've been in control of this game. But all of a sudden, they get in this end zone. It's a 6-point game in the 4th quarter on the road.
Lennon finds his receiver at the 25-yard line. Payton again. Forward progress going to be marked right about there. A gain of 9 on the play. Lennon getting rid of it quickly in a couple pass attempts there.
They found a way to get those easy completions, manufacture some shallow crosses, some hook routes, and get just enough protection to get the ball out of your hands.
Without Creasy. Creasy brought down at about the 24. 2nd down and 1.
Even though
They've got a first down. Check that.
Even though the field is starting to compress here, Mark, the same thought, the same pattern. Find a way. Those shallow crosses, my check downs. If Florida State is going to be content to play a lot of this zone coverage, now they look like they may heat it up here.
Running over the middle into traffic. Incomplete at the 5. Three different players, including Carter. Mario Carter had an opportunity on that ball. Marcus Joyner, the strong safety out of South Florida. St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Fort Lauderdale, one of the great programs in the country, making a play.
Fourth the USA Today Defensive Player of the Year during the 70th defense.
And wide open, finds his man, Thornton. Touchdown, Pack!
Florida State. O'Brien teams have done it before. You hang around, you don't finish, you don't make the plays, you don't hit your shots down the field, and you go on the road into this environment where State has done it to you before. You better be real careful.
Thornton with his first touchdown catch of his career. True freshman who wasn't part of the equation when the season began. They actually thought about redshirting him. And that touchdown brings them to within 7.
Give some real credit to Dana Bible. Do you see what he did there in his formation? He's looked at a lot of his matchups tonight and seen these tight windows in zone. So he gets his back out of the backfield, matchup on a middle linebacker. And it looks like that ball crosses the plane to run the same little shallow crosses that have been effective in this second half. That's going to be really close.
Cedric Thornton had a productive week last week against Miami. As we look at it one more time, must be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. He started off the year on the scout team.
I think this crowd feels it, by the way.
Another look. Joyner, the guy that made the play on the last play for Florida State.
And is that elbow down, Mark, before the tip of the football crosses the threshold of that goal line?
Well, that official was right there on the goal line, staring at it. Here's the call.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. Touchdown.
It wasn't confirmed, not a good enough look to confirm it, and therefore that call on the field, as you said, with that side judge, critically important.
And for Glennon, the 11th touchdown pass of the season for him. And there is a lot of football to be played here, folks. North Carolina State taking on the #3 team in the country. And every bit as much in this game. Trailing by just 6 points. May have gone to sleep on him, but Glennon and Thornton waking up everybody right now. Back with more after this. Let's go back into the flashback machine. 1998. Torrey Holt. Yeah, remember him? Played for the Wolfpack. Breaking a couple tackles on this big punt return in the 4th quarter. And he added a 63-yard touchdown catch against the Seminoles, and North Carolina State upsetting #2, then #2. Florida State 24-7. Fast forward to today, 2012, Florida State ranked #3. And they've had several opportunities, Brock, to put this game away, in a sense. But right now, lead by only 6. Plenty of football to go. 4th quarter just underway. Their quarterback starting to get in rhythm a little bit. This one will come into the end zone. Let's go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. We have a final in Austin, Texas. West Virginia visiting the Longhorns. Andrew Bowie, the 6th player with 200 yards rushing or more this weekend. West Virginia beating Texas by 3. South Carolina over Georgia 35-7. And Florida takes care of LSU. Just 16 unbeaten teams remaining.
All right, Wendy. Well, I can't believe West Virginia scored only 48 points, bro.
What a big day for Dana Holgerson to go back to Texas. For Dino, who is the front runner right now, that Heisman, to go on the road against the best defense I think he will face in the Big 12. And their play still put up 48. We showed Torrey Holt there, the greatest show on turf, and he was running around with the Rams. Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey, Gino, they've got it going in Morgantown.
Look at some of these games in the past that have tripped up the Seminoles on their way to a potential high-ranking or national championship campaign. And right now, since they might be facing just a little bit of adversity, a lot on the line for Florida State here. 1st and 10 for Manuel. And off the mark, trying to set up the screen to Thompson. Incomplete. Remember, he threw the interception last time.
This is a big drive for number 3. There is a ton of room, and I love the call from Jimbo Fisher, the screen pass. Look at all the Wolfpack have been very aggressive this second half. You've got 4 guys in front of you with your most explosive player offensively. That's one like that throw that he missed to Benjamin earlier. Just find a way. Doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're a perfectionist. Just find a way to give him an opportunity to finish on the other end.
It's out of bounds at about the 26-yard line. Ricky Dowdy there to make the stop on the play. Got about 1. 3rd and 9.
Let's give some credit here where credit is due. This isn't all E.J. Manning. This has a lot to do with that group up front. And Mike Archer's playing defensively. And the number of times when you see the grass stains, sacked 3 times in that first half, unsettled, pushed around, moved off of this spot. And this crowd is sensing and feeling. They fell back in '98 a number of times against this team in this house.
This defense hasn't given up the big plays in the passing game like a week ago. They brought it tonight. 3rd and 9. Manuel has a man wide open. And this time he hits his receiver, number 1, Melvin Benjamin. The tall, strapping receivers, all 6'7" of them.
Did you see what he did there? Did you see the difference in that throw than some of the others? He heeded the advice of his head coach and just put it up in the air. It doesn't have to be particularly on time. It doesn't have to be perfect in stride. We've got athletes. Give them an opportunity to help you out.
A 7-yard gain, 1st and 10. They convert on 3rd and 1.
Boy, was that a big play.
Little option into the boundary. Thompson. Well, that defense shedding the blockers, and Wolf coming up to make the stop from the strong safety spot.
You know what you're going to see? You're going to see at some point in the final 12 minutes that option action and him coming off with a play pass. As much as these guys are flying around, and Jimbo can feel it. That's why you've seen the screen call. He can feel how active and how much this group is over pursuing. Gotta do something offensively to counteract all that pursuit.
Cato Bishop, Teal, McGill, Slay up front for North Carolina State.
How about an end around? How about the playmakers? Green and Benjamin, giving them a shot.
E.J. Manuel wants to take a timeout and will. 2 remaining. This game tightening up a little bit. Mike Glennon, quarterback for North Carolina State, sent his friend E.J. Manuel a text last week, said, "We're going to take a shot at the upset when we see you, big fella, next week." And right now, his words are almost closer to coming to fruition. He's in rhythm.
And a very clear plan in the second half with Dana Bible and his offensive staff. You see all the horizontal throws, so many of those little shallow crosses, running away from that underneath defense. Perfectly done to the running back out of the backfield. Shadrack Thornton with the big touchdown to make this game very interesting into the 4th quarter.
2nd and 10 for the Seminoles. Manuel with time throws a dart complete And another first down at the 27-yard line. That's Rodney Smith, another one of those rangy and tall receivers at 6'6". He picks up 20 on the play.
So how's Florida State going to be different, Mark, than they've been in the past to avoid the landmine? And because that's the national conversation. Week in and week out, can they do it? And what a drive here, and what a couple throws by your fifth-year senior to respond to, as you said, one of the real first adverse situations of this game.
Hands it off to Thompson, who cuts it up inside. Bounced off a tackler as we go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, under 4 minutes to play over on ABC. Ohio State leading Nebraska 49-31, and just underway. The Oregon Ducks hosting Washington, no score, 6:54 in the first quarter on ESPN.
All right, Wendy, we'll get back to the hotel after this one and watch that Oregon game. 2nd and 5 here, though. Again, he converts some tackles, gets down just inside the 20, got about 3 on the play.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see here. You saw the slant route earlier, the interception. You've seen how active this secondary has been. If you're not going to run it here, just take the 3 points and go up 9. How about a little double move? How about a little slant and go? How about a little end around? How about something, as I said, to counter all of this very active pursuit from NC State?
That was Rashad Green that scored on fly sweep last week. He scored 3 different ways in his career, Jordan. And he pulled Peter Warwick to do that. 3rd and 2. James Wilder got him the eye in the backfield. Daniel wants to burn another timeout, leaving them with just 1. And plenty of time remaining, 10:26 to go. Talked about the national conversation, Brock, and there have been times in the past when Florida State has been tripped up. We chronicled it. One of those misgivings here throughout history. They lost a couple of years ago against North Carolina State. How do they get past that? Is it a psychological barrier, or what kind of tools they have right here tonight?
Well, I know we've talked a lot about the leadership on the other side and what Tom O'Brien and that NC State team has tried to do with the players-only meeting, but this is the time, and I don't think people always understand this, especially in college football like pro football, there's cycles, and this is now time. This is 5 seniors in your front 7. This is a redshirt senior quarterback. This is when those players are not just vocal, but you do it on the field. E.J. Manuel, not been your best game, not been your sharpest effort this season yet. 4th quarter, got to have it. Some big throws, some big plays. Just capitalizing on those opportunities when they come, and especially, Mark, on the road.
Third and 2. Huge play coming up. Bootleg, nobody home, and sacked back at the 33. Dante Johnson, the corner, coming with the pressure.
2 things that you could not have on that play.
And look how much, yeah, they lost
it. Coming out of a timeout, Mark, and the 2 things that cannot happen. You cannot turn the ball over with your 5th-year senior kicker, and you can't take a sack. Those 2 things cannot happen. That has to be the conversation, the dialogue, and not just a sack, but a sack of such proportion you may have knocked yourself out of field goal range.
Unbelievable. A loss of 15. They bring in the punter. Egregious, pejorative mistake by E.J. Manuel. Come out of this drive with 0 points. Not even a field goal. North Carolina State with the ball 92 yards away from a touchdown and potentially taking the lead. The guys in red always believed.
Your time, Mike Lennon, your time right now.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Miller Lite, because when friends come together, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And in part by Edward Jones, where FaceTime and Think Time make a difference.
And welcome back, everyone. College Football Primetime, presented by Miller Lite. 16-10, the Seminoles with the lead. Florida State has been unable to put points on the board in the second half. And North Carolina State's defense seems to have them solved a little bit. Trying to put a big sack on that last sequence. Lennon, who has caught fire here in the second half, and a big hit at the 17-yard line on Thornton. Lennon has hit 10, make that 11 now of his last 17 passes. What about the work and the heavy lifting by the true freshman Thornton so far in this game?
Continue to watch that tempo and continue to watch those little shallow crosses, just running away from that underneath coverage.
2nd and 1. Thornton. Looks like he got enough for the first down. Remember, the last 3 times that Florida State started off 5-0. They lost game number 6. The one time that they didn't was back in 1999, and they went on to win the national championship. Thornton out of the game. Creasy back in. Back in Seminoles defense to make a stand here. Lennon completes it over the middle to the 24. His tight end Watson gained 6 on the play. The tempo game worked for them when they made it a little quicker, didn't it?
That tempo and getting the ball out of your hand and finding completions, most importantly, has done what? Have we called Werner or Carradine's name in the second half?
Not much at all. 2nd and 5. Incomplete to the 31-yard line. Another first down. Let's go down to Jessica.
Well, guys, NC State in the offseason worked on their leadership with something called the program with Eric Capitulik, who's an ex-Marine. They were pushed past their physical and mental limits in a swimming pool where they were fear of drowning. They really worked on their mental game, and Eric came and spoke to their team. First time since the spring. Last night, his biggest message is, hey, anyone can lead in the classroom. They can lead at 70 degrees, but true leadership comes when the heat is turned on and the entire nation is watching. Guys, the last time Eric spoke to this team was in 2010, the night before they beat Florida State.
Probably no surprise then, Jessica, that Tom O'Brien, the Marine, served 9 years active duty, 16 years in the reserves, would bring in the Delta Force. He would bring in the Navy SEALs. He would bring in those in the armed forces to teach some of that and really implement some of that mental toughness.
He was telling us earlier in our meetings that the leadership not quite where he wants it to be. It's getting there, though. As Rhodes, Xavier Rhodes, as he likes it pronounced, coming off the field, big corner at 6'2". Smith in behind him. They'll go to work on his backup. First down and 10. Lennon underneath at the 30-yard line. Nothing doing. Creasy makes the catch, but he's hit immediately and brought down by Telvin Smith.
It's been a fun little chess match to watch in the second half, and Florida State continues, and Mark Stoops to be very content and rush 4 guys. He does not want to give up that big play. He does not want to leave, and especially with Rhodes out, some of those young corners, inexperienced guys alone out there one-on-one.
2nd and 10 underneath again. Dink and Duncan underneath. Rashard Smith. That passing game, 3-yard game.
You know what else and why they've been able to get away with all this short passing game? No penalties. They've eliminated those early holding calls. There's been no procedural penalties, and therefore I can take 3, 4, 5 and continue to move the chains.
Evans completed his last 6. 3rd and 6. Complete. What a catch. Oh, but a better open field tackle. LaMarcus Joyner comes up and sticks Creasy. And that was a huge stop on 3rd down.
And I love what Mark Stoops said. And we tell our corners, you better be careful. Friendly fire's coming. All that military talk, this Joyner kid will stick you. He knocked Thornton out of the game with a shoulder injury just a few snaps earlier. And at 5'8", 195, he'll bring it.
4th down and 3, and they'll have to punt it. Green with the fair catch at the 23-yard line. 6:09 to go. Florida State trying to put this one on ice, but plenty of football to play. BCS Countdown is on ESPN and ESPNU this Sunday. A day after the dust has settled, our analysts break down the key victories and defeats that took place on the college football gridiron and discuss their impact on the standings. Hey, who will rise, who will fall? Plus, we look ahead to the key matchups for the next week. BCS Countdown, 8:30, then at 9, presented by Discover Card, Sunday on ESPN and ESPNU. There's a look at the top 10. The question begs, can you go from 6 to 3? Maybe, maybe not. South Carolina dismembered Georgia today, impressively.
And whether they do it tomorrow or whether they do it next week when those computers come into play with those BCS standings, a huge win on their resume today.
First down and 10. Oregon in that number 2 perch. Thompson brought down, and Wendy Nix. What about Oregon? What's happening with them?
Well, not surprising, the Ducks are on the board, Mark Jones. This game over on ESPN, Washington and Oregon. And they hand it off to Anthony Thomas. He'll do the rest. 16 yards into the end zone. Ducks strike first. 7-0. 5 minutes to play in the first quarter.
They're even a better second half team. Second down and 12 here. Florida State with just one timeout remaining. There's that fly sweep to Green. He scored on it last week on a 10-yard run. Only got one here. And it's 3rd and long coming up for Florida State.
And one of the big differences here in this second half, just 20 rushing yards for Jimbo and his crew in those Seminoles. 104 in the first half. Thompson, a 100-yard day in the first half. Just 20 in the second half, making these third downs extra long and extra critical.
Defensive coordinator Mike Archer might get a game ball out of this one and share it with those 4 guys up front. 3rd and long, 11 to go. Manuel going up top, taking a shot. Got his man as he inbounds. Incomplete is the call. Melvin Benjamin claims he got his feet down, and this one might be reviewed. He got in behind Justin Burris on the play, but did he get the feet down? Here's the look. He might have dropped it after he made the catch.
He did not continue through the reception point and on the ground here. He has it and he loses it there. Got to continue the reception. That's disappointing. That's another good throw by EJ, giving his big receiver, the redshirt freshman, an opportunity to go up and get it. You saw Jimbo tell Benjamin, go up and high point that. If you would have just gone up a little bit earlier, been a little bit more aggressive and got that foot in, you could have secured it through the contact with the ground.
Team coming onto the field.
I think Jimbo getting the assurance from the sideline that the booth has looked at this one, and if they felt it worthy of a second look, well.
Now we get word that they are going to take a look at this. So the ground didn't cause the fumble there?
There's a couple things involved here, I think, via replay, and you hear a good look at the referee having the conversation with Jimbo.
He's doing some good lobbying there on the sidelines.
Jimbo feels like he has it his high point. Is he bobbling at all?
Florida State has called a timeout to challenge the ruling on the field that the pass was incomplete.
And he has it there.
I don't think he dropped it until he hit the ground.
And that is what Jimbo is going to argue, that he gets it initially, he does high point it, and clearly has that foot in bounds. And here's a discussion. That's exactly the discussion between coach and referee right now. And some good explaining here by the men in stripes. Oh, there's no doubt he catches it secure here, Mark, and to your point, and has the foot. That foot's out of bounds. Doesn't matter. That first foot is in.
Wow.
Jimbo burns his last time out. Which, oh, by the way, do those ever come back in play in close games and in tight games?
Especially when you're looking at the home team with 3. and it may be possession of the football after this punt if the play isn't overturned on the field.
Yeah, he has got to, Mark, have that possession all the way through.
After further review, the receiver did not maintain control when coming to the ground. The ruling on the field is confirmed. Incomplete pass. Florida State is charged its final timeout of the game.
That's the question you now have to ask. You burn your third timeout. You burn 2 of them offensively. You take a sack when you have a field goal. You now have a bunch of plays that typically when you go on the road can come back and bite you.
Rashard Smith is back at his own 37-yard line.
Have that reception all the way through contact with the ground. Clearly he catches it early, but does not secure possession all the way through the catch.
Beatty, a high towering spiral all the way back to the 26-yard line. Smith with the fair catch, but a clutch 51-yard punt by Kason Beatty. Let's take a look at some of the pivotal plays this half.
This was a shutout at half, and it felt much bigger than the scoreboard. But in this second half, you let the home team hang around. You throw an interception. And NC State and Dana Bible has been very patient. Mike Glennon as well, just taking the underneath throws. Those little crossing routes have been more than a half dozen of their receptions underneath. And they put themselves, because of that, in a position to win 4 minutes to go.
Florida State's defense. Stoops looking for the right button to press right here. 4:35 to go, a full complement of timeouts remaining, and the screen pass to the freshman Thornton. Running hard for the first down. Shadrick Thornton moves the chains. He makes it out to the 38-yard line.
You're starting to see some hands on hips of Werner and this defensive line. Screens, quick passes, move in the pocket. Taking the greatest strength of this Florida State team, that front four, just taking them out of the picture.
And Werner got his hand up and knocked that down at the line of scrimmage. Great effort from the 6'4" junior.
He had 8 of these a season ago. He knows what's coming. Okay, you're going to quick game me? Then fine. Then I'll sit back here and nearly intercept it. That's a smart player. Unbelievable. This kid's only played 5 years of organized football.
Second down and 10. Lennon underneath, and good tackling once again by the Seminoles defensively. Going to be marked at about the 39-yard line. Hunter making the stop on Underwood, a 2-yard gain. And third down coming up now.
You just wonder if now this is the opportunity. You've run all these shallow crosses. This is where it's a chess match, man, where I'm trying to set it up. How about all these shallow crosses and you pump fake that and see if these safeties that are flying to make tackles, and see if they get out of position and give up something over the top.
Are you looking at 2 to make 8 yards here? 4 down territory?
I think you've got 3 timeouts. I think it depends, Mark, on what you do here on third down.
3rd and 8. Running wide open for the first down. And into Seminole territory is Quentin Payton. A 15-yard gain and a clutch conversion by Glennon.
That was a rare bust there, Florida State defensively. Just underneath, inexplicably losing sight of Payton.
Florida State had a tough time getting lined up. And Glennon hit Telvin Smith on the back of the helmet. Incomplete. He's looking for Mario Carter as tight end. Boy, Smith turns around. He has a free one. Actually intended for Watson. Second down and 10. Wolfpack, all 3 timeouts remaining. Florida State with none. Little pressure, and Glennon eludes the rush and makes the completion at the 36-yard line. Payton again.
That's big time, Jones. That's not the strength of Mike Glennon. And that's where his coordinator said yesterday, can he create plays on his own? No. Has he grown into that 6'6" body and been able to extend the play, beat somebody with a little suddenness in the pocket? He sure can. That was an enormous play to avoid the sack.
The Seminoles right now on their heels. That pass incomplete. Intended for Creasy out of the backfield. Christian Jones, the linebacker, stride for stride with him. It's second down and 10. 3:04 to go. Florida State, number 3 in the country, 5-0, undefeated.
Two things to watch for. Will Florida State bring a blitz? And will NC State hit a double move? They've been patient this entire half.
And in tons of time, finds his man incomplete though, knocked away after being juggled by Carter. And Carter is going to get up slowly here. It'll be third down and 10 on the next play as Carter is tended to by the athletic training staff.
And what a throw.
That had some heat on it.
Yeah, you can't put it in any better spot. This crowd has gone quiet here. But this is the tape the NFL guys are going to put in. This is the tape that those executives are going to watch with Mike Glennon at 6'6" and a big arm. I want to see him against Florida State. You know what? I want to see it when it's hard. And this first half was difficult for Mike Glennon and that offense, but they've stuck around. They've stuck around. He's made plays. He's made throws, and he's put his team in a remarkable position right now, really, as Florida State on their heels.
Have yet to hit that deep ball, Brock, as you pointed out a minute ago, but nickel and dime stuff is doing just fine. To steal the phrase from Florida State's offensive coordinators, you can't go broke taking a profit, right?
Exactly right. And especially when Florida State continues to maintain those two deep safeties to limit those shots down the field.
Third and 10. Broken up, incomplete. No flag on the play intended for Watson. Christian Jones in the coverage. And it's fourth down.
Ooh, and he gets away just a little bit with that left hand. I'll tell you why that doesn't draw the flag. Because he gets his hands off as that ball gets into the air. If he has any more contact, once that ball is released, that penalty's coming from the back judge. But just savvy enough to get his hands away and knock it down.
This is the ball game here. North Carolina State looking to convert on fourth down. 5-9 on the season in such situations. Glennon complete, but short of the first down to Thornton. And the Seminole defense rises up. Tyler Hunter there for the stick. And they will take over on downs.
There's times to take the check down. There's times to take 4 and 5 yards. But on 4th and 10, you have got to feel that zone coverage. And he did a good job. You see his feet. He wanted to flush. He felt the protection. He had it. And that's the time you got to try to force it into that second level, even if it's tight. And that's exactly the conversation there. Hey, I understand there's a completion, but on 4th and 10, you can't spike it. You can't run short of the sticks. And you can't throw it short of the sticks either.
11 passes, no runs on that last NC State drive. Seminoles out of timeouts. They hand it off to Thompson, who stopped up for a loss on the play. Stopped up by Thomas Teal. And Thompson is getting up slowly. He has carried a heavy load tonight for Florida State. Went for over 100 yards in the first half. Let's go back to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. We go back to Eugene, Oregon. The Ducks hosting Washington on ESPN. Keith Price back to pass and picked off by Avery Patterson. 21-0 Ducks at the end of the first quarter. And the Buckeyes, this one's all but over. Nebraska in town, but Philly Brown, the 56-yard punt return would make it 49-31, but it's now 56-31. 76 yards he goes. This one all but over. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Wendy. 2nd and 12. Florida State came into this game averaging over 51 points per. Of course, the game against Savannah State will skew the statistics a little bit, but this is a very prolific offense nonetheless. Tonight limited to 0 points in the second half block here.
Out of rhythm. Unable to run the ball. Missing some big throws. Taking sacks.
It's about wins, though. And this is their guy, Thompson. He, prior to that run, had 138 yards, tacks on a few more to the total before being brought down by Teal. Third down coming up.
Second timeout of the half. 30 seconds timeout.
And North Carolina State down to its final timeout. Let's go back to that pivotal fourth down attempt for North Carolina State and Tom O'Brien's team. What went wrong here?
Well, some of the conversation, and you saw the coaching staff with Mike Glennon. Take a look at this seam route right here. He's going to throw underneath, but you're reading this zone defender. And if he sits at all, I've got to hit that seam route behind it and watch him. Use your eyes, influence that guy, and pull the trigger. He may score. He may score. If he can, and that's a situation where you've thrown it all night long and you've hit it and you've done a great job. But you got to know down and distance. You got to study that guy. You got to manipulate one defender. Make him think you're throwing it underneath and then fire that seam shot. You had an incredible opportunity right there. And that's what the coaching staff's talking about. Now, what you also got to be thinking is I erase that. I've got one more timeout. I'm going to get this ball. And the next time I get it, Mark Jones, I got to pull the trigger.
But will his friend E.J. Manuel from back in high school days convert on third down here and keep possession for Florida State? They're going to run it on a predetermined run. Nowhere to go. And they'll have to punt. McGill with the stop, joined by Noah. And it's fourth down for the Seminoles, unable again to move the football.
I got to be honest with you. I know that the Football 101 book says make them burn their timeout, but you're on the road, and I've got a fifth-year senior, and I got some playmakers outside that we put the ball in their hands already, and there is plenty of time anyway. 2.5. Clock stops with every first down. I think there was an opportunity to allow your redshirt senior. Now, to Jimbo's credit and to his defense, this second half has been very uneven as well. And the last thing you can afford is a turnover. Your special teams are good. You punt it back down there.
You mentioned special teams, Brock. One of the unsung heroes of this game, especially in the second half here, has been Beatty, the punter for Florida State, who has airmailed a couple.
True freshman.
Yeah, not given the Wolfpack many chances to run back punts. And now he strolls out onto the field, trying to pin them back deep again.
Now, by the way, if you saw and I saw and our truck saw that seam route, you know who else saw that seam route up in this booth? A couple booths down? A coaching staff of NC State as well.
They came after him and blocked it. They got a piece. And it dribbles out of bounds at the 43-yard line of Florida State. For the second consecutive week, Florida State.
Jimbo's thinking this is jumping over the shield. I don't know about that.
Here's the call.
There's no foul in the play. The punt was blocked.
There you go.
Wow. And Glennon and the Wolfpack offense is in business.
Now, there's a new rule in college football that you can't jump over the shield. They didn't jump over the shield. They ran through the shield, and because it was tipped, there's no issue whatsoever with the contact with the punter. This NC State defense and their special teams have given you every opportunity now.
Mike Rose got a piece of that ball. And with no timeouts remaining, Mike Glennon, the senior quarterback, 43 yards away from the end zone.
Mark, no panic. Take those checkdowns until you have to take more.
1st and 10. Incomplete, up and incomplete. Almost tipped up in the air and picked. 2nd and 10.
Okay, Florida State, if you're a national title contender, if you've got all ACC defensive ends, if this defensive group that we praised for 2.5 quarters is everything that you think they are, well, now's your time, Tank Carradine. Now's your time, Bjorn Werner. Now is your time, defense, to rise up and get after this quarterback.
On the 43. Quentin Payton has been the go-to guy here in the second half for Glennon. Takes a shot up top. Incomplete. Intended for Brian Underwood. It's 3rd down and 10. But that time, at least, they threw it downfield a little bit, Brock.
He sure did, and I like that throw. Underwood, 5 consecutive games with a touchdown. The guy is just sneaky enough, and that's what you call a back shoulder. All you're seeing is 2 safeties over the top and man coverage underneath. And he tries to back shoulder him just on a different page with the quarterback.
Florida State trying to keep its undefeated season alive right now. That burden resting on the defense's collective shoulders. On 3rd and 10, Glennon using his legs, making it down to the 36. He'll be about 3 yards short. 4th and about 3 to go now.
No rush here. You get to your absolute best play call. You as a redshirt senior here, make sure that there's no panic. You got all the time in the world. You just have to move the sticks here to keep the game alive.
Given a little time, got the first down at the 28-yard line. Watson with the catch, an 8-yard gain. No timeouts remaining for the Wolfpack.
Minute 43, it's plenty of time. No need to panic. You're an up-tempo offense anyway.
Glennon looking up top. A flag. And there's going to be a penalty. It might be against Rhodes, who picks up the flag.
Pass interference. The 27 defense. That penalty is half the distance from the line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
We come back to that back shoulder, and unlike his buddy Christian Jones earlier, who got his hand off the receiver, you see the hand of Rhodes there never get off the corner, and that's why that side judge is going to throw that penalty.
Number 3, Florida State in trouble. Out of timeouts. North Carolina State with possession. And 1:31 to go. Marching down the field at the 14-yard line. Thornton, the true freshman, in a tailback. Glennon, incomplete. Intended for Thornton, who already has a touchdown tonight, but Christian Jones showing good coverage skills in space. 2nd and 10.
Set your feet here, big fella. It's these moments that you got to trust all the work, all your fundamentals. You've been here 5 years. You know this offense inside and out. So when you're telling yourself, hey, play fundamentally sound, trust my reads, you know Florida State's played in essence the same defense the whole 4th quarter.
This defense has been on the field a long time in the second half, especially this period. 2nd and 10. Glennon, high, incomplete. Sets up a 3rd down and 10, intended for Watson. That was the 50th pass attempt of the night for Glennon.
We saw Glennon scramble for 8 earlier. When you see this man coverage with zone back, if it's not open, you can get some yardage with your legs.
3rd down. Glennon had to get rid of it. And it's 4th and 10 coming up now. Good pressure up front by Jernigan. I'll tell you what, that offensive line that's missing 3 starters has actually held up pretty well tonight.
You can read the lips very clearly. 1 snap. Now, NC State, you can also get a first down here. Mike Glenn's got to remind his guys, we can still move the sticks. This does not have to be forced into the end zone.
1 for 2 on 4th down tonight. And Florida State's defense keep their record unblemished for the season. They need 1 play here. Glennon. Caught at the 3. 1st and goal. What a catch by Payton.
There it was, you've seen that. Isn't that fantastic?
No timeouts remaining. And a player down at the 25-yard line. But what a catch by Quentin Payton.
It's a completed catch. The previous play.
They're reviewing this play to see if it hit the ground. Boy, it looked like he had it the whole way. See from this angle.
Wow.
Ooh, maybe not.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Maybe not.
And they ran all those shallow crosses, shallow cross, and then he turns it up the seam. Now it shifts from the left hand. Does he get that right hand back underneath and secure? That's the question. To me, it comes out of his right hand.
Review, the ruling on the field stands is called. First down.
And they got a free timeout to talk things over here a little bit. Oh, first down. First and goal. From the 3-yard line. North Carolina State poised and ready for the upset. 3 yards away, first and goal, under a minute to go. Glennon on the move. Look back the other way and has to throw it away. Out the back of the end zone. Got some pressure on him from Telvin Smith. Stops the clock. 45 seconds to go. Second and goal.
These are the opportunities you like to have 2 plays. If you're going to run it here, you better make sure everyone's aware to get back lined up and have that next call on 3rd down ready.
Line up again from the 3. They run it. Creasy, nowhere to go. Brought down behind the line of scrimmage, and the clock's still running.
And that's where you should have had a second call. You better hurry up now without being in a panic.
The crowd making the stop.
You've had that 3rd down call ready, and they do.
3rd and goal. Running with a little more time and under heat. Almost picked off. Incomplete. And it's 4th and goal. Wow. Several different players almost had their hands on this. Actually did. 1, 2, 3. And neither caught it. Rhodes and Hunter each had a chance along with Payton for North Carolina State.
That look says it all. Get this ball into the end zone at whatever the cost. As a quarterback, this ball, you've got to give your guys an opportunity to make a play in the end zone.
For the upset. Glennon, touchdown Wolfpack! Underwood. Point away from posting a potential upset.
An extra touchdown point on the play. After the play, dead ball, number 31 of the defense. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
You may not be showing it, but you can't imagine how good that feels for that guy, head coach, and 5th-year senior quarterback, Mike Glennon.
A defining moment for the quarterback, who implored his team to be all in for 6 more weeks, and they could do something special. The extra point attempt for the win. And the Wolfpack have a 1-point lead with 16 seconds to go.
There's a lot of game balls to go around here, Mark Jones. It's got to start with your head coach and Tom O'Brien. It has to go to Dana Bible, whose offense was dead in that first half. 29 plays, 68 yards, 6 consecutive quarters of being shut out. It's got to go to your defensive front 7 that stuffed the run of Florida State in the second half, that got after E.J. Manuel. This is no fluke. They outplayed Florida State in this second half.
They shut them out in the second half, outscoring them 17-0 and wide open underneath Underwood. And there you saw the personal foul right there on the hit on number 31, Terrence Brooks, right there. We're going to tack that on to the kick. But Glennon, the senior, stood tall and poised and found his man. And that is the 6th consecutive game with a touchdown for Brian Underwood. And easily his biggest.
5-0 how many times, Jones?
Did it most recently in 2005.
2000, 2003, 2005, 3 other times. 5-0. Everyone looked at the schedule nationally and said, ooh, Steve Clemson going to run the table. You're so talented. As I said in the open of the show, you're the 34th NFL team. You're loaded with NFL guys. It just goes to show when you go on the road and you don't put a team away, and you take some sacks, you miss some throws, you keep your defense on the field, and you allow a team to hang around, you give them some life. On the road, bad things can happen, and they did for Florida State tonight.
North Carolina State will kick off from midfield, the 50. And the Seminoles have no timeouts remaining. Maybe squib it here to...
No, I kick it out the back through the goalpost.
Exactly what they do here. They come out to the 25-yard line. They hit the upright. All that talk of a national championship. All the talk of their 3rd national championship in Tallahassee. 16 seconds away from being buried. Glennon leading his team on a defining game-winning drive. And now his friend, his high school buddy, E.J. Manuel, with limited time to counter here, 16 seconds only.
You want to get about 15 or 20 here to at least give yourself a chance. And remember, you just need a field goal with a 5th-year senior that's as good as anybody. You get out of bounds with no timeouts.
Manuel has to launch. And it's caught at the 46-yard line. 8 seconds to go.
Up and spike this.
Get up and spike. Line it up. No timeouts remaining. A 21-yard gain on the play.
Please reset the game clock to 9 seconds.
Get an extra second. Manuel spikes it. Didn't move.
Please reset the game clock to 8 seconds.
Now they're going to put it on 8. Remember, the career long for Dustin Hopkins is 55 yards. Can they get within range?
This throw has to be past the sticks. That last play took 7 seconds. You have 8 seconds right now. This play has to be past the sticks. And ideally, you'd love about a 15-yard to 20-yard comeback out on those sidelines and give yourself a chance for that field goal. And you've got lots of room here. You've got to get this ball out to the boundary.
Manuel heads for the boundary, incomplete. Stops the clock with 4 seconds to go. Kenny Shaw, the intended receiver. Now it becomes that much more difficult.
And that was the wrong boundary.
You got to airmail it to the end zone now?
You have no other choice now. That's too bad, because to the field there, you had an opportunity to get a catch and get out of bounds, I do believe.
Think about some of the key moments in this game. You think back to the time that E.J. Manuel lost those yards on one play on 3rd and long. It took them out of field goal range. They didn't get an opportunity to even attempt the field goal. Looking for atonement here with 4 seconds to go. Into the end zone. Will it make it? Incomplete. Wolfpack with the upset.
Folks in Tallahassee will have a good half dozen to a dozen plays to come back and look at this game and wonder what could have been. It's O'Brien in that leadership class, they worked pretty well because his team was the more mentally and physically tough down the stretch.
Who would have thought that E.J. Manuel and the Florida State offense, which averaged over 51 points a game coming into this one tonight, would be shut out, did not score, didn't get a touchdown, didn't put a field goal on the board in the last 2 quarters of the game.
The power of belief is an amazing thing. And this team at home, as that game evolved, as they got longer into that second half, they began to believe that they could do what they had done here in this stadium in the past. Bigger, faster, stronger, doesn't matter.
What a difference a week makes. As we go downstairs to Jessica and Coach O'Brien.
Coach, this week you talked to me about you're waiting for this leadership to arrive. How do you feel about your team's leadership watching them drive down the field?
I mean, what a great effort. A great coaching job by the coaching staff. Great effort by the kids. Shut them out in the second half. Explosive offense as that is. I mean, it's a great effort, and then we scored with no time left, so they couldn't beat us. So played down perfect.
Well, speaking of effort, what did you feel specifically about your 5th-year senior, Mike Lennon?
Well, I think, you know, he hung in there. We protected him better in the second half. He made some plays. He made some throws. These kids never give up. It was a great win for, look at these people. It's unbelievable.
This is unbelievable. What does this win mean for this program?
Well, it doesn't mean anything because we've got 6 games left, except it's nice to be 4-2 going into an open week. Got to get some guys healthy and come back and play Maryland in 2 weeks.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you.
Not many people gave them an opportunity. They had 3 starting offensive linemen missing. Their defense was porous and gave up a lot of big plays against Miami last week. A players-only meeting ensued, and they turned the beat around here in Raleigh. Glennon leading the way on a last-second defining touchdown drive, and the upset of number 3 complete. The Wolfpack winning 17-16. Coming up next, Sports Center. Good night, everybody, from Raleigh, North Carolina.
You're watching Sports Center.
Yes, you are, Sparky. Holy shnikes. What a night. Teams 3, 4, and 5 go down the first BCS rankings next weekend, right?
Right.
So this is huge news tonight. Linda Cohn, John Butchergas will be with you here till 1:30, and we got some great stuff for you.
This is why we love college football. It is so unpredictable. Just ask third-ranked Florida State, who was up 16-0 at the half against NC State. Here was the finish right here on ESPN2. NC State down 6, 4th and goal, 16 seconds to go. It's Glennon to Underwood. The extra point made it 17-16. NC State going crazy in Raleigh. And there is the extra point. 5 of the last 6 times a ranked Florida State team has faced an unranked NC State team in Raleigh, the Noles have lost. Let's send it back to the guys who called it, Mark and Brock.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. You know, the seeds of tonight's upset were actually planted last week in that disappointing loss to the Miami Hurricanes in South Florida. A players-only meeting ensued following that loss, and then Mike Glennon, their quarterback, Brock Heward, said, and guys, it's a long season. If you believe, if you're all in for 6 more weeks, we can do something special for the rest of our lives, and that's exactly what transpired tonight for North Carolina State. It was a night of lost opportunities and opportunities taken advantage of by North Carolina State.
You say that perfectly, and Linda does as well. How can you predict this? I showed you the film coming into this. We looked at the physical mismatches, 3 offensive starters out for NC State, and it didn't matter. They believed, and I'll tell you what, Florida State let them hang around. There were a lot of plays, and they're going to come back to 4 or 5 and wonder, what if we just make this play? But an immense amount of credit to Tom Bryan, his coaching staff, and those guys on the field, that as that game went on, and it went longer and longer, they believed they could get this done.
Well, Mike Glennon, the senior quarterback, whose buddy was his counterpart tonight from high school, E.J. Manuel, Florida State. Glennon with the game-defining drive. This was his moment
dinking and dunking, little nickel and dime passing game, it really worked for him.
And lumbering at times, but never doubting himself or the system. That was an enormous play on 4th down, and this was the play on 4th down, and that Florida State team was gassed. That defense was on the field for a majority of the second half, and Mike Glennon had a drive with about 2.5 minutes to go on 4th down where he didn't make the play. He didn't throw it into the end zone, yet he, like this team, and in many ways like the program this year, persevered, and when it mattered the most, was clutch.
What a difference a half makes for North Carolina State, and for Florida State for that matter. Florida State, I mean, did not score in the second half. They got blanked. An offense that was averaging over 51 points a game coming into this one did not score in the second half. And, you know, after last week, the North Carolina State defense getting torched every which way by Miami, they really responded and showed what they were made of tonight.
I think the biggest stat there was 21 rushing yards. I said to you coming into this game, why is Florida State different than their predecessors? How are they going to be different? How are they going to do this week in and week out? And they had been so good physically at the line of scrimmage, and that changed in the second half. The will and the want to of the Wolfpack was more. They held Florida State to 21 yards rushing. The senior quarterback, Manuel, makes some mistakes that you don't think a fifth-year senior would, and you open the door, and NC State went through.
Florida State came into this game with a lofty #3 ranking. How do they recover from this one?
This will be very difficult. This will be incredibly hard because you know what the conversation is going to be around the country. You know what Mark May is going to be saying tonight. Here we go again. Florida State not able to do it 3 times, 2000, 2003, 2005 in this position at 5-0. And I thought they were different than some of those other teams, and unfortunately tonight they weren't.
They were hoping for a result like 1999 when they improved to 6-0 and won the national championship, but as Biggie would say, Linda Cohn, it was all a dream. Back to you in the studio.